chat. Joseph, we already have George, the early bird. Shout out to Adara. And the world's greatest mod, Bears versus Bulls, reposting a super chat. Shout out to Rohit Sharma for the $5. Does the double top bearish signal also apply to ETFs such as XBI at the moment? My man, technical analysis will work on anything. I'm actually talking about like literally any trend that you can discern. So yes, the answer to that is yes. We already have the OGs. Shout out to Other Zinc. Love his energy in the chat. Other Zinc, a new entrant, relatively speaking, into the chat. Shout out to Scott H, small cap gapper extraordinaire. We got Paul Goodson and Adrian Petraeus. Shout out to Daniel Vargas and Oliver Costeros. We got Ronaldo Gorev, Lexter01, and Sebastian Saul G and Yannick Milky Way, as opposed to the Andromeda Galaxy, of course. Scott Edwards, the paint specialist guy. Brendan, Donkey Trader. I was gonna do the donkey noise, but I'm not gonna do it. Mary S. Lyman and BGZ and Taste Lane. And Gorilla Glue Grip, as opposed to my paper hand grip. Shout out to you, Benton C. COYG. We did well this weekend, man. And shout out to the thrashing that City got. 4-0 City on your own ground, City. Really? To Tottenham City? That's fantastic. We got Damo Moore, John Baker, T-Man on the blockchain. We also have Jason G. and Richard Budai, Ron Campbell, Jose Gonzalez, Crypto FOMO, love that name, flex, baby, flex. We got Frank J. Condone and Adrian, I don't know how to say your last name. Shout out to Blue Arrow, Darth Trader, and Daddy Gator. Daddy Gator. Welcome, Joseph. How's it going, man?
Daddy Gator from Louisiana or Florida.
Maybe,
yeah, maybe.
A lot of gators down there.
A lot of gators. A lot of gators. If the water's wet.
Crocodiles down there, too. I didn't think that they overlapped, but they did. Gators and crocs.
I didn't know.
Obviously, crocs get bigger, but the gators, you know, it's kind of their turf.
It's their turf. So watch out there, crocs.
How's it going? How's Monday?
Yeah, good, brother. How was your weekend?
Good?
Yeah, everything was good. How was your weekend?
Can't complain, man. We did that Sweat and Tonic 50 Cent class. It was hilarious.
Yeah?
OG 50 Cent music. It was pretty good. We'll talk more about that as we go. All right, guys. Your poll is on there. There's 4 tickers from you guys to choose from today. Neil alluded to the first entrant earlier. Rivian, why is this thing moving up? Oh, that's right. They settled their lawsuit with Tesla. Shout out to Ram, who's got a test drive later on today. Cassava Sciences, Shellac City. In other words, have a look at that one. If you don't know what's going on with Cassava, just Google that super quick. We got NVIDIA down 3% today, Joseph, and more breaking out of that range. So those are the 4 that you're going to get for the first poll. We're going to throw another poll your way at around 12:30, halfway through the show. We'll take the top from this poll, the top from the second poll, and then we'll throw that on the afternoon rundown for you guys. So make sure you're voting. Otherwise, you will not have your say every day. And before we look at what Joseph's been Googling this morning or goggling this morning, we're going to throw it to Adara super quick. She's got some for us at the big desk.
Really quickly here, just wanted to point out Zoom Communications, ZM. This one is up about 8% right now on the day. I'm not seeing any catalyst on this, but it is worth noting they're reporting after the bell. I'm seeing ETF 4:05 p.m., so could be some pre-earnings interest here for ZM at day's highs. You're getting a bit of an increased volume there. Keep an eye on that going, guys.
Yes, just talking to people in the chat. There we go. Joseph.
Yes, sir.
Give us what you're looking at, or the rundown before we weasel into the lesson.
Yeah, for sure. So I traded a little bit of Bitcoin this morning. That seems to be all right. We got a bounce on that. Other than that, I was just looking at some overall sector performances. I want to see who's leading the way. As you know, it was getting a little defensive last week and the week before that too. So again, in first place here, we'll run through the win play show as always, guys. So in first place, we got the consumer discretionary, all right, at 1.77% on the session. Real estate sitting in second, up 1.52%, and then materials with the show at 0.05%, guys. But I also wanted to point out too, Sharif, before we send it out to you, as I just mentioned not too long ago, IWM. All-time highs. Right there, sitting on top of this pivot here, guys. So, I mean, it's small cap world. Sharif and I were talking about, hey, okay, so all we see in the forecast is potential rate cuts. So what does that say? That's good for the small cap world, all right? So guys, just continuing to crawl higher. It's absolutely recovered from not too long ago when it was selling heavy. But again, it's looking really good for small caps. I would wait for maybe a little bit of a pullback, but again, buying all-time highs isn't a horrible strategy, guys. So I might look to get involved in this as well, too. But that's just something I'm looking at. I like the small cap world now. I wasn't always the biggest fan of it, but Sharif, killing it over there. I'm starting to take a bigger look at these things here.
Man, I started off my DGen trading life with these small caps, and like, you know, you weaseled into the large caps because the big kahunas are always looking at them. But like, that was my original.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, that's
you know?
where you. So, the origin that where
it was literally the origin.
Yeah, everything started. Yeah.
Started out looking at the scanner during COVID. Why are there 300% winners on the day? Is this normal? Everyone was telling me at the time, this isn't normal, bro. It's usually 1 or 2 at the most. But you don't know any different at the time.
I mean, amongst a lot of traders out there, some of those bigger names, those guys really like the small caps too. They like shorting the.
They love them, bro.
Yeah, they love the small caps. So I know there's a couple people out there on Twitter who really like the small caps and like the other side of them as well too. But I mean, if it's trending higher, I don't think the shorts are coming in as easily as they were.
Certainly not, man. It's a lot harder to short. All right, guys, let's get to the lesson du jour. We're talking about the money flow index, MFI for short. Look, it's not one of those used. It's a seldomly used oscillator, but you know we put it to the Nos boss a couple of times. Michael Nos, that is. He's a fan of it in certain respects. So we'll cover it today, and maybe this is something that you can add to your arsenal of technical analysis. So let's get right to it, as we always do. Let's explain everything from a very basic perspective. So the MFI, the money flow index, is a momentum oscillator. In other words, it's like the RSI. It's like this stochastic oscillator. It is a momentum oscillator in the group of technical analysis indicators. It measures the strength of buying or selling pressure in a market. So that's what it's looking at. Unlike the other momentum oscillators that we alluded to, there the MFI takes into account both price and volume. You don't see that with other oscillators as well. So this one takes into consideration some of the 2 most important data points we can take: price and volume. So keep that in mind. Here we go. This is kind of what it looks like on a chart. You're going to see it towards the bottom end of the chart, like you would see the RSI, the MACD, or your volume bars as well. So you've got like this little area over here. We'll talk about the overbought and oversold areas, but you can already glean it by looking at this chart. The shaded area below 80 and the shaded area above 20. So you can already gauge what the extremes are. It's 80 and 20, unlike, who's gonna know? RSI. What are the areas there? 70 and 30. So kind of the same deal, just different numbers, okay? The calculation of the money flow index is really beyond the scope of this lesson, but we're just gonna cover it super quick. It's calculated using a 14-day formula that considers both the positive and negative money flow. So both positive, so money coming into the market, and money coming out of the market over a 14-day period. The positive money flow occurs when the closing price is higher than the previous period's closing price, while negative money flow occurs when the price is lower than the previous period's closing price, okay? So that's how we gauge whether net money came into the market or net money came out of the market. And you often hear us report on that in the morning when we talk about inflows and outflows out of these spot Bitcoin ETFs. We're always talking about that almost daily. So for the math nerds out there that love to know how formulas are derived, shout out to grade 11 advanced math. Here it is, baby. You can have a look there. But already I'm getting an alert that my friend Qubit is reaching the volume weighted average price. So I'm gonna have to pause this lesson hot as you like and have a look at my friend Qubit over here, because this is important. And I'm gonna get long here with a stop below 70. So we're gonna risk a little bit, no biggie. We're gonna go 769, because what's life without MG, Joseph, right? And then we're gonna go 762, just let it go there. And then we're gonna sit at these random levels over here to wet our beak on some profitability should we ascend into said price. Back to the lesson, excuse me for digressing there. I had to stop for a hot second because I wanted to look at that stock. So there is the mathematical formula for the money flow index for the math nerds out there. But how do you interpret MFI? So number one, It's good for identifying or gauging overbought and oversold conditions, much like all these momentum oscillators are. So MFI can be used to identify potential reversal points when the market is seen to be overbought or oversold, aka above 80, aka below 20, using the MFI readings. It's also good at confirming trends. So a rising MFI, a rising money flow index indicator can confirm an uptrend, while a falling one confirms the downtrend. And then identifying divergences. I negated to put that in this tab over here, but identifying divergences between the MFI and price can also signal potential reversals. What do I mean by that? Higher highs on the price, but a lower high in the MFI. Conversely, lower lows on the price, but higher lows on the MFI signals bearish and bullish divergence. That's what we use a lot of these momentum oscillators for, not just to gauge overbought and oversold, but to see how it's jiving with price, okay? And this is kind of what we're looking at here. You've got a bearish divergence over here with price and MFI. Why? We're making lower highs on the money flow index, while on the price, we're continuing to pamp and make higher highs. And then with respect to the oversold reading, you can see the money flow index weasels below 20. Simply put, it's oversold in that case. Likewise, over here, it's above 80. It's set to be overbought. And this over here, this area with lower lows on the price, but higher lows on the MFI, this is what we call a bullish divergence. When the price continues to make lower lows, but the MFI makes higher lows, you're looking for the trend of lower lows on the price to change, and usually you get a breakout. Basically, that's what you got over here. It weaseled down to 27, then we saw it goes above 33. Okay? So how do you use the money flow index, though, for trading? Do you have something to say?
No.
You're good to go.
No,
okay.
no.
So number one, you can use it by identifying, as we kind of alluded to, gauging or identifying these overbought and oversold conditions. So money flow index can be used to identify potential reversal points when the market or the money flow index is in overbought or oversold conditions. It's not the way I use it, but it is one of the acceptable uses. It's also used to confirm trend, as we alluded to. Rising MFI can confirm an uptrend, while a falling MFI can certainly confirm a downtrend. And as to just basically say what we just said, divergences between MFI and price can signal potential reversals. And that's what we're looking at over here, confirming the trend. You have good convergence here as opposed to divergence between the MFI and price. So you make an oversold dip below that 20 area, and then basically that would have been your area to buy, because that's where the price seemed to have troughed, and then we made newer highs and newer lows. So how does the money flow index work, like with respect to the rate of change? Because this one was supposed to be the lesson for today, but I kind of just jumped over it. If you're familiar, though, with the rate of change, both MFI and the rate of change are momentum oscillators that can be used to identify, again, overbought and oversold conditions. However, there are some key differences. Number one, the MFI, the money flow index, looks at both volume and price, while the rate of change only looking solely at price. The calculation of the MFI uses a 14-day formula to gauge positive and negative money flow coming into the stock, while the ROC, the rate of change, is calculated based on the percentage change in price over a specific period. So a bit of a difference there, okay? All right, so we'll stop here for a minute, like we do sometimes, and then we'll come back and we'll revisit the lesson in a second. It looks like I'm doing real well here on Qubit, so I'm gonna take out some more. As this one dipped up into 20s, Joseph, we were 30 pennies in the money, but we're sitting here doing this lesson, couldn't take any profits. It's time for me to set up some more beak wetters in the mid-teens. What are you looking at, brother?
Yeah, brother, I'm looking at what you had mentioned for your trade plan this week, and I'm like, oh, wow, what an absolute call out by you. This is Mara. It's breaking out, and we all know that sometimes this thing isn't the best intraday trader. But today, it is trending, and this is what we like to see. It was sitting around second place on the highest volume throughout the session when I ran my scanner not too long ago. And now look at it, up almost 10% on the session with 50 million and 50.5 million shares traded. So, I mean, this thing is absolutely roaring. I was looking to play maybe a potential ABCD pattern on this sitting around 28, but I'm like, it's a little extended for my liking, and I know this thing can get a little volatile and have some pretty deep pullbacks. But as of right now, moving with no correlation to Bitcoin, essentially, this thing is continuing to trend higher and higher throughout the session, now up 10.25. So, I mean, this is something that you would want to get in, and it also broke some key pivot levels as well, too. That's something that I want to point out. So this was a fantastic call out by Sharif. If you haven't seen his call out on the recap or the week ahead video, go out and check it out on YouTube.
Appreciate
because this guy, because this is what he had. And so I'll be honest with you, Sharif, I'm like, this guy's pick Mara. We know this is not the best intraday trader, but sure enough, you got the breakout right at the right time. So yeah, that's absolutely fantastic on that front. So that's a really good look there. We broke this previous pivot high of sitting around 26.63. So that's a key level that you want to see broken with momentum. Beautiful. Now we have the volume supporting it even better. So from a standpoint, is this stock going to continue trending? It's looking like it. Can resistance become support? I think so in this case, especially with Bitcoin continuing to crawl higher and higher. And even though we do have somewhat of a pullback on the session, I think this is that's totally healthy. But again, I do think we take another leg. And if Mara continues to trade the way it is right now, I do think that this thing can continue on that northeast trajectory. All right, guys? So keep that in mind. That's something that you want to see from a breakout standpoint. We're breaking key resistance levels, and we have the volume supporting it. So that just can indicate, hey, this is strong, and this breakout might be sustained. So really good call out by Sharif, and I really love the way that it's moving right now. But as for, I guess, the name of all names, NVDA, been slightly disappointing the past couple of days. I've been looking for somewhat of a bounce on it, but yet we have yet to get it. I mean, after the earnings report, we got a little bit of something out of the opening drives, but nothing crazy. You would get that liquidity grab to the top side, and then you would get those steady flushes down. Now opening up and breaking the bottom of this specific range on a daily. I know Darius Golden said he had some puts on it, and I said, you know what, Darius, considering where it opened and how it now broke those key levels, there may be some potential downside to this stock. But again, it can turn around at any given moment. The volume is starting to slowly dwindle on the daily, so keep that in mind. But I'll tell you one thing right now, if NVDA continues to sell, I have some cash on the sidelines, and I'm going to look to start a starter position on this thing. Sharif is sitting. I know Greg V, our buddy in the chat, Greg V too, says he has some powder on the sidelines as well too, looking to get involved in NVDA. So I think a lot of people are just going to end up buying the dip on this stock. I know I am, brother.
Oh God, yeah, man. We saw what happened last time, Joseph. It sold off after earnings and then precipitated to make all-time highs. So yeah, short this one at your own peril. Have fun with that.
Well, not long to I mean, if Darius has got a put expiring this week, great.
Absolutely.
Long term, not.
No,
yeah, exactly.
no.
Yeah, exactly. Long term, you don't want to be.
Risky.
Yeah. You don't want to short it in the long term, brother. What do you got going on?
So I want to shout out John Del Segno, man. He's always killing it in the chat, no doubt about it, and he's killing it again today. A great looking cup and handle ram, or kind of a rounded area right there. Shout out to Big Spile. We miss him around here. I don't know why he hasn't been during the midday, but he's probably working. Look, nice rounded shape. There's your handle. There's your breakout. Shout out to John Del Segno. John, though, we're still waffling with that HOD, that 29.85. Kind of a random area to have resistance on SOXL. SOXL is what I'm talking about. Guys, this is the microchip semiconductor ETF. So this one, I believe it's at day high right now. Yeah, 28.95. Shout out to John. Let me know how that trade ends up doing, brother. It's a good look, no doubt about it. All right, I'm still in Qubit over here, even though I'm really disappointed that I didn't have beak wetters in the high teens, mid or high teens, low 20s. It's still defending 8. Now, my concern with this one is it's shown me what I want, but it's also showing me what I don't want to see, which is lower highs, excuse me. So here's the deal. So this one was doing bottoming tail candles into an area that I love. You guys know I love the volume weighted average price. So showing me that people were buying it up in and around VWAP. So that's the good look. The bad look about that is we've gotten a symphony of lower highs. Sorry, I misspoke and said lower lows. A symphony of lower highs. It's not really giving me that curl quite yet. So I'm trying to account for the price action by moving my stop to a more appropriate area now that we've wet our beak. But we'll talk more about these small cap gappers once we get back from the big screen with Adara.
We're going to do here, as we do every day around 11:20 a.m., we're going to take a look at the larger movers to the upside and downside on the S&P 500 and talk about some of these catalysts. We're going to do here today, I like to have a theme for this segment. So today's theme is going to be S&P 500 names moving lower on catalysts related to acquisitions and sales of units. So we're going to start here with OKE. This is in the industrial services sector. One OK here is down about 4.3%, near day's lows. They announced they're going to be acquiring Enlink for $4.3 billion. This is an all-stock transaction. So OKE sharply to the downside. Then we have NEM here. This is in non-energy minerals. This one is down here about 3%, announcing that they're going to be selling their Eleanor unit in Canada here to Dilmar. The sale is going to happen for $795 million cash. As a result, Raymond James actually lowered the price target on the stock. So NEM here selling its Eleanor unit. Now, last but not least, we have COP. ConocoPhillips down almost 4%, also around day's lows here. This is, of course, an energy minerals name. As of Friday, their acquisition of Marathon Oil was completed. Now they're announcing they're actually going to be having these exchange offers and debt securities for consent solicitations from Marathon Oil. So COP here on watch. Lots of deals here on the move on this market, guys, and make sure that you take the time to vote in our poll for what tickers you want to see on the rundown. This first poll will have 4 options, then at 12:30 we'll see 4 new options, and the top 5 tickers will be featured on our rundown at 2 p.m. We'll see Obi and Neil's thoughts on your tickers of choice, guys.
I was just talking to Obi on the side over here about Tesla, because Tesla's working its way into VWAP, so I was getting a feel for how Ob was looking at TSLA. He's like, look, brother, I'm still long from the 348s. He's looking bullish right now. So shout out to Ob. I mean, I was looking at it simply because it had worked its way back into VWAP after being quite extended away from VWAP for a little bit. So we'll watch and see how this one dances with that 354.5, 355-ish. It's been a good look off that bottom ever since double bottoming in the mid 347s. I believe the low of the day is 347.65. It has put incrementally higher highs and higher lows, rounded bottom, whatever pattern you want to call it, whatever description you want to give it. It's been on the way up, Joseph. So it's well off, obviously, that HOD that we printed in the pre at around mid 362s. We're about $10 or so, $9 or so, excuse me, lower than that level right now. But I'm keeping my eye on VWAP. Now, here's what I want to see. And this is by no means a hard and fast rule. But if I get the first 5-minute candle on a closing basis to make a new low below this bad boy over here, this 11:15 candle, that's a good look for me. Okay, it doesn't have to be based on this candle. I just need the first 5-minute candle to make a new low. So this one doesn't make a new low. Look where the wick is. It's well above the wick of the previous candle. So it may not be this 11:15 candle that I base my short on. It might be the 11:20 candle. We'll have to wait and see. I don't want to jump into the Cybertruck and get my face ripped off there, but we'll definitely keep an eye on this one. Joseph, you had a good look on AMD, though. It's about to do something funky that could change things for it on the day.
Yeah, absolutely. AMD looking like it's going to go for the higher day break. I like this name this morning, and if you go and check the video that was posted on the channel, you will see my thesis that I had on AMD. All right, guys? So it was very simplistic. I was just looking to sell some bull put spreads on this thing, putting me at the 125 strike, 120 for the protection. And sure enough, we got that bounce that we were looking for, guys. But we have a couple super chats that I'm going to touch on first because I really like where they're getting at with these. Hey, guys, from Nimrod Sharif, our guy. Hey, guys, what's your buying price for the dip on NVDA? How long can it go? Any interesting shorts? How's MSTR? I mean, hey, we were just talking about NVDA. I think it's almost a buy at any dip. You kind of do want to wait for that selling to cool off, the momentum to slow down. And then once price starts to turn around again, then that's when you would look to buy that dip. But again, you don't want to necessarily catch the falling knife. Wait for a price to tell you when to get in, and then you can set yourself up with an entry. But I think I would take, I know my good buddy Greg V said he's like 135. I'm in. I like 135, so anything between 130, 135. I'm looking to start a starter position within NVDA, so hopefully that helps you. And as for shorts, MSTR, I mean, the momentum, that big day that it had not too long ago, I don't keep too much of my eye on it because it is a little bit of expensive stock, so just keep that in mind. But we'll take a look at MSTR for you just briefly, and then we'll get to the other super chat. because I like this because I was looking at it. It was actually on my side screen, so we'll talk about that shortly. But again, MSTR, I think it does eventually recover. This was just an absolutely massive selling day here. Let's see. How much did it sell on that session? Yeah, like 30% at the lows. That's absolutely insane. It was totally toppy, overbought at the time, and then sure enough, guys, you can see these indecision candles at extremes. It did break it to the top side, so your thesis would be invalid, but again, it gave you another opportunity to get right back in. So that was a really beautiful signal. As long as you packed your patience and waited, you had the ability to get into that stock. Now, the other super chat, Pimpy Longstocking, holding 60 calls on TGT from 121, and I like this because I was just looking at TGT because someone said, I think someone said short TGT, and I'm like, yeah, I would totally agree with that because that thing is hot garbage. But again, as of right now, the calls are looking good because if you have those 121 calls, by all means, and you have 60 of them, that's quite a bit. But one thing that I will point out is that we have now entered this gap. This downside gap, which I always like, I like those topside gap fills. So again, sitting in this level, look for a little bit of a fill here. I'd say maybe 20, 30% of that gap being filled, and then look to start taking some profits because you don't want to hold on to this thing for too long, especially if the sentiment on this thing is absolutely horrible. Sharif, what are you cooking up there?
I want to talk about what's his name over here in the chat. Ezekiel Lepera, thank you for trying to bring it in or trying to, amalgamate the lesson with the price action. Let's look at this right here. So we're going to talk about Tesla Ram using the money flow index. And what is immediately apparent to me right now is that its use in this particular case is best when using it for the overbought, oversold areas. So let's just have a look. We already know that the 80 print is overbought. The 20 print on the money flow index, that is oversold. So let's have a look to see how we could have used it today. Well, okay, over here, when we weaseled on in, right in the pre-market there, right before the bell, we got into that pre-market high at around 362.75. What was the money flow index doing at that time? Oh, it had just popped above 80. So if you took the short on the breakdown of 80, you printed up a storm. And then if you did like Obi and you got in the 347s, 348s, when the money flow index was below 20, you did very well. So Tesla has respected in terms of overbought, oversold use today on the money flow index very well. However, if you try to use it as a divergence, a bullish or bearish divergence gauge with price action, you did poorly because it's been shadowing the price action, not diverging from the price action. So again, it's not about how we want to use the indicator. It's about how the indicator is in use on the day. And oftentimes you've heard Joseph and I say, look, if VWAP is your area to buy, but the stock on the day is not respecting VWAP, why are you buying on VWAP or at VWAP? Likewise with the 10, likewise with the closing print. If those levels are levels that you typically use but are not being respected on the day or respected at all by the instrument that you're trading on previous occasions, don't use it. So in this particular case, you can see Tesla really respecting the money flow index's overbought and oversold areas, but not so much in the bullish or bearish price action divergence using MFI. So I hope that helps, Ezekiel. I wanted to mention that because I think that was the appropriate thing to do that we're talking about it today. So last but not least over here, Qubit got stopped out for the remaining amount. I had the majority of the position out. Let's see if this one can work above 8 and hold above 8. Packing my patience there. This one, I'm just going to sleep here, Joseph. I got into Snapchat at VWAP for the VWAP hold. Now it's showing me that it's kind of respecting VWAP, but it's not respecting it enough to get away from it. So somebody's selling up a storm and has been here in the low 90s for a hot minute on Snapchat. It was up a lot higher at the highs. It's at VWAP right now. I've kind of put my stop already to account for this area consolidation, looking for this bad boy to curl, possibly to take 12 again, not holding my breath here. SNAP up 4.16.
I deleted mine the other day.
You did? Oh, was that of your own volition?
Yeah, because man, it's the doom scrolling. It's the doom scrolling.
On Snap?
Yeah,
Really?
Yeah, you just go through the reels on that thing. It's oh man, if you ever need to kill an hour or something like that,
TikTok
me,
bro.
yeah, it's the
TikTok
exact same thing.
Me.
It's just like keep going, and it's just like brain melting.
Can I tell you something though? I'm on X a lot more now.
Are you?
I don't know why. I don't know why, but it's like a lot more interesting all of a sudden. X is Twitter or whatever.
The only time I go on X is when I'm on my home desktop, and I'll go, and I'll look at it, right? I try to stay away from crazy amounts of social media just because of how addicting it is to, like, you just constantly looking at your phone. When I take the train in on the morning, I open my laptop and I do my due diligence, right?
Sure.
95%, I'll even go 99% of people are just like magnetized to the phone.
To the phone, 100%. Yeah.
So for me, it's like, yeah, all right.
Remember, she's not her. She's sleeping on the way.
So I try to limit the screen time sometimes, you know?
Look, what was I gonna say? Yeah, I listened to the pods on the way down. Stephen Bartlett in the morning. It's either Diary of a CEO or Lex Friedman. But Lex Friedman, bro, you gotta earmark 4 hours. That dude goes deep.
He gets deep.
He's
like a JP.
Friedman,
he gets like really deep.
100%, dude. And he's so calm and off-putting as an individual. You just gotta like him.
I went to the Jordan Peterson book signing last year.
Oh, he's amazing.
Yeah.
I went to Jordan Peterson May 2022 for my birthday with a buddy at Princess Margaret right by front. Man, it was the weirdest. I know we're digressing in the middle of trading, but it was the weirdest thing ever. Like the dude started getting emotional about his mother. Jordan Peterson, and and then they cut it off because it was overtime.
Yeah.
It's like, this is a dumbest time to stop when the man's getting emotional. What is this? Who's running the show here?
Exactly. Anyway, AMD did break high of day. Sorry, Sharif, we'll send it right back to you, brother. But AMD did break high of day briefly there and is slightly rejected. So we're gonna keep an eye on it, guys. You know what I'm gonna point out? That volume was starting to kick in there as we went and broke the high of day. So that's something that we definitely want to see. So that can give us a little more conviction that this might continue to the top side, because I'd say I'd like to bounce on AMD. I'm going to pull up the daily real quick, and then we're going to send it back to Sharif. But what my thesis was based off of was this pretty much close to isolated pivot. As you can see, we had the gap down and then a gap up. And I'm like, if we can hold this, there's a potential bounce trade there without owning any outright shares. So that's why we create credit spreads, because we don't own anything. We just have the rights and obligations, and we can profit by non-directional price movement. Go ahead, man.
Hey, yes, sir. Okay, so there we go. We just got our first print. Nice. On Snap. So we just got that one. Appreciate you, Ram. Looking for 11.98 now to get taken out. I guess somebody's doing well back there. It's likely Wayne. Can't talk about that trade, but it's all good. 11.98. So we'll keep an eye out on this level that I've got. Look, he's intense, bro. It's impossible not to talk about it because of him, right? Like, he's intense. You gotta love that. You gotta love that. Shout out to Wayners, man. Hope he's printing up multiple storms. So keeping my eye here.
Obi's gonna go out and figure. He wants to know what's going on.
Demanding to know.
We'll figure it out. Yeah.
Of course.
That's right, brother.
Shout out to New York Cents. I was just talking to him in the chat about why I weaseled my way out of Qubit. It broke my VWAP level. So that's what we're looking at. So let's look quickly over here at the small cap gappers that have got up on the day. This could be a fluctuating or a changing list as some of these make it on, and then we remove them off if they give up the ghost. So the one that I like the most, obviously the one I'm involved in right now, SNAP. It's not a small cap gapper, but I'm trading it like one right now using VWAP. So we'll keep an eye out on that. The baddest of the movers on the day is QMCO, and it's not a new one, guys. We talked about this one towards the end of the show on Friday. It is a continuation play. You'll see. It had a fantastic day Friday. So from that pre-market area where we were hanging out at 8 a.m. to that 8 p.m. print, we were up a light 160%. You can add to that today another triple-digit day because we're up 131% on QMCO, and it behooves me to give you the information about this one. It is a $100 million market cap with about almost 21 million shares traded on the day and about 83 million share float. Let's bring this trade ideas down and find out what the short float is on this bad boy. 8.3%. Yeah, I apologize. But that is the excitement that we get around here. 18.3% of QMCO's float is borrowed for short. So this one could become quite parabolic, and I'll submit to you, it's already kind of done hints of that so far. What I'm looking for here is a new trend to establish because we're still in that lower low, lower high phase, possible, underline possible, double bottom at around 19 and change over here. It did make higher lows and higher highs. Could be a bit of a consolidation range at 2150 right now. QMCO, we'll keep tabs on that. No question about it. OPI Ram, where I was hoping to yell this one a lot. Like I thought maybe if it broke $2, I'd be trading it more. Because, you know, it's just got an affinity. OP, I want to yell it a lot like I typically yell OB, but it's breaking down below VWAP, Joseph, so this ain't my look. It's going to have to reclaim that level. Qubit, shout out to New York Cents. Look, man, if Qubit wants to take back VWAP and give me some higher highs and higher lows with which to work, I'll absolutely re-engage this one, but put some respect on it. It's been running for weeks now, not days. Quantum computing is hot. Don't know why and don't care. But the fact of the matter is 780 is where VWAP is, and it also happened to be the top end of the implied balance high, or that opening print high. It gave up the ghost, but it's putting a quadruple bottom now on the 5 at around 7 2/3. We'll see if this one can kind of curl its way back up. QUBT will be certainly on watch. But who remembers Kodak from 2020 and 2021? I do. Degen Trading, small cap gapper over here. Neil, tell me you remember Kodak. Yes, he gave me the nod. He knows what happened. And in case you don't know what happened, let me show them, Ram. Here it is. This is what I'm talking about right here. This is the weekly, just to give you an idea of what this monster can do. It was $2.30 one week, and then it decided to wake up one morning, Joseph, and work its way up to 60 bucks. Clearly, it didn't hang out at that price for all that long, but the point is to show you that this monster can move. KODK. Yes, it is the old film that you put in the cameras. It is that company, and they're still around. I don't know why, but they're moving up today, Joseph. 23.6.
Kodak Black, man.
Oh, Kodak. What is it, the reason, Ram? Tell us.
Yeah. Ooh.
Why is it? Is it because all the Gen Zs now just want to pretend like they're living in the 90s and are taking cameras like they were in the 90s? You guys are not from the 90s. Stop wearing baggy clothes like we were in the 90s. It's 2024. I'm talking to you, Ram. Just joking. What are you looking at, Joseph?
Yeah, no, you know what? I was like, OP was a familiar name, and and it finally came to me. It's one of the guys off of Sons of Anarchy. So I'm glad that I correlated that. So that was a good show back then. But guys, as of we're in some NVDA here still, and we're holding on to some IBIT as well too. So both of these trades are starting to work out for us, which is really, really nice. But let me pull up NVDA here and tell you just kind of why I decided to get into it. I was looking for a potential bounce on this thing for the past couple of days, and then I think finally after we just sat and we waited for the selling. But as you can see from the 5-minute range, I thought as soon as we sat on top of this resistance here, I'm like, okay, maybe we can go and test VWAP again. And sure enough, we did. So that's what I was keeping my eye on. We did put in that potential bottom. The volume did start to step in a little bit, but I was just happy that we sat on top of that range, and that was the ability to a confirmation for me to take along. I'm going to keep my eye out on this indecision candle right above VWAP as well too. You always have to keep an eye out on those because that means it could potentially turn around or a deeper pullback than I like. But again, I'm glad that NVDA bounced. I know a lot of people in the chat were looking for the NVDA bounce. So we got that, guys. But again, I took out the majority of my position. We'll hold the rest to break even, and we'll take it from there, right? But again, if this market continues to rebound, AMD is selling quite heavy off of that high-a-day break. And some of the other stocks, Tesla's pulling back. It kind of rejected VWAP as well too. So again, we're gonna have to kind of just wait and see. I mean, the Qs are weaker than SPY right now. So just keep that in mind. It's being dragged down by these mega cap tech stocks. So I'm going to keep an eye on this NVDA. We don't got too much more room, another quarter, and then we're going to get stopped out break even. But then again, I'm still sitting in some IBIT. We still have a little bit of leeway here on this one, guys. But we'll send it off to Adara, and then we'll take a look at some more of the mega caps.
What we're going to do here is take a look at some of these earnings plays. We're going to look at day one earnings and then names that are set to report either tonight or tomorrow morning. So we're going to see what's happening here for day two. Let's kick it off here with Bath & Body Works. This was basically the main major report that we got today. They did report a beat here for EPS and for sales. Their sales grew on a year-over-year basis, so that was a positive. They had their guidance here. They are expecting a Q4 net sales decline here on a year-over-year basis. Their EPS here kind of mixed. Generally, the higher end definitely beat their guidance there, or beat the expectations there. So they're guiding between 194 and 207 versus estimates of 197. Now let's talk here as well about their fiscal 2024 guidance, because they actually did increase their guidance. Initially, they were looking for a decline of 2 to 4% for net sales on a year-over-year basis. Now they're seeing a decline of 1.7 to 2.5%. So smaller than expected decline. They also upwardly revised their EPS guidance. The other earnings report, or something close to an earnings report we have to talk about, is Macy. They actually delayed their Q3 earnings release because they have basically an accounting issue. This is apparently an intentional accounting issue. Someone who worked in their small package deliveries area apparently intentionally concealed $132 to $154 million worth of delivery expenses. This lasted about 3 years. So Q4 2021 to Q3 2024, the employee is no longer with the company, apparently. The company did report preliminary net sales decrease here of 2.4% in a year-over-year basis. Also, apparently, decrease in comparable sales. So preliminary report from Macy's, not too great there. Let's talk about earnings on watch. Zoom, the big one, reporting here after the bell. Analysts are looking for earnings of $1.32 per share and revenue of $1.16 billion. Let's also talk here about the earnings before the bell, because it's a doozy. We've got Kohl's, KSS, ANF here, Abercrombie & Fitch, Best Buy, BBY, Dick's Sporting Goods, DKS, among others. So lots of retail favorites on Watch tomorrow morning, guys.
Dara, appreciate that, Adara. I was trying to short Tesla here, already got stopped out. This is so strong. Bounced off the closing print from yesterday at 352.50. So I'm going to look to get back in at 354 and a third, 354 and a quarter. That's where VWAP is, and it's putting in a holding pattern at that level. I'm still kind of biased to the short side over here, so I'm going to look to get in at a bit of a better price, the 354 and a quarter to 354.50. A bit of a tight range right now between where VWAP is at 354.40 and that 352 and 2/3, which is the closing print from Friday. So that's what I'm looking at right now. Definitely looking at getting back into this monster over here. Would like to take this down. But we did do a 20,900 defend. So we're putting incrementally higher lows and higher highs on the NQ December contract with VWAP rejecting for now. Joseph, what are you looking at?
Yeah, I'm actually over here looking at Meta and Google. I mentioned to you this, I mentioned Google to you, but one thing that I want to point out here on Meta, and this thing needs a leveraged ETF or something. Same with Netflix, so we can get in on this thing with a little bit cheaper of a price. But guys, I'm just gonna point one thing out. If anybody else recognizes it, again, I sound like a broken record over and over again, but these signals continuously print, and print. You'll see them consistently. They happen multiple times a week, a day, whatever the price action may be. But guys, you know what I'm gonna look at? We have a really strong opening drive on Meta. And then sure enough, at an extreme, when the overall market is selling, you put in this inverted hammer, this gravestone, whatever you would like to call it, a hanging man, whatever you would like to call it. And then sure enough, it sells, all right? So these are the type of signals that I'm going to be keeping an eye out always, because those are my reversal signals. If I'm not trading at VWAP, I'm gonna wait for an indecision print at an extreme high or an extreme low. And it's unfortunate that this thing is a little bit out of my price range to trade. But again, Meta on that short, it was really, really nice. I like that there. And then I was looking at Google as well too here, guys. For a potential flat bottom break, as Sharif would like to call it. But I don't know if it's going to happen, because this thing is pretty strong. Let's see if these support levels can hold. If a candle opens up below the support levels, then that might get me interested for a short. But again, I don't necessarily always want to be shorting these mega cap tech stocks, because they can catch a bid at any minute, and then some volume can get in. Some people would say, hey, Joe, that looks like a bear flag to me. Sure, I mean, whatever you want to call it, let's play the price action as it plays out. But again, we hold these levels, we can continue. As you can see, we're kind of forming lower highs here on the descent, but then we have this definitive support level, all right? So let's see where the volume steps in, either to the downside or to the top side. But I think a potential break can be in the midst with Google. But I just want to point one thing out here as well too, guys, on my IBIT trade. Why did I take IBIT at the bottom? Am I catching a falling knife? I don't know, maybe, but look at the price action. What do we have at an extreme low? it sold off for the first half an hour of the session or so, even more, and then put in this indecision candle, this hammer doji at an extreme low. This can signify, hey, we might be ready to turn around. Guys, we did the VPA lesson 2 weeks ago. Keep that in mind. Go back and watch it and understand these signals, or start doing some research on your own, because they are so key to learning how to pick tops and bottoms if that's the type of your trader you're looking to be, because now you can correlate the volume with the price, and then sure enough, you can build a playbook off of this. And I only have so many trades in my playbook, right? I don't want to have this vast playbook. I like to trade at VWAP, and I like to trade these extreme signals, all right? And gap fills. That's it. That's what I stick to. That's my focus. And I try to execute those as best as I can, and then make as much as I can when I am executing those trades, my guy. What are you cooking up?
I like it, man. We're still in this Tesla trade. It took a couple of beak widers still, and I've got another order to add at 354, because it's been ranging for a hot minute. But you know, even if the fact that it's ranging is one thing, but we're not really getting it's hard for me to discern a trend. So if there's obviously a sideways movement here. If I'm trying to gauge whether the bears or bulls are in control at this level, it's kind of really hard to tell. So there we go. Now we're really flushing. Okay, so we just got a couple of prints there. Still a little bit upset, Joseph, because I didn't get my ad at 354, despite the fact that, you know, there was multiple opportunities to get that ad. Good look right now on Tesla.
But I like the top of I like how you grab the top of the range.
Yeah,
there,
I really tried.
Yeah.
So we'll look to do a little bit better. How many outs? We've got a few outs over here. So let's set up another out south of 353. We'll look to take it, you know, in the mid 90s or something like that, to account for possible liquidity grab on Tesla right now. So here we go, zigging and zagging with that 20 penny area. However, we're getting a 20,900 defend on the fuge. So that works against my position. If your opinion or if your bias is that, you know, Tesla marches to the beat of the drum of the overall market, doesn't always work that way. Certainly, anybody who's traded Tesla before knows it has more of an independent twist to it, but sometimes they do run together, and that's when you get in trouble trying to go against the market. So that's what we're wetting our beak for right now on the short. We're short at 52s. I was able to cover into 53s. We still have a few more outs, looking for this one to bleed a little bit more. And as I see it, it's been about 15 minutes since we touched VWAP. The last time we actually got into the volume weighted average price on TSLA was 11:30. So we're going on 18 minutes now of no touches. Here we go with 53s again. Let's see if we're able to break the whole dollar level. I'm waiting in the mid 90s, so I should be able to get the print if we actually just drop below 53s. It looks like somebody's buying at 53s. We'll have to pack our patience there. Let's look for Snapchat, over here. Very consolidative, unusually consolidative. I didn't think that they would hold so long at VWAP. We're unable to get a 98 print. The best we could do so far was 96s. It did work its way up to 97, but we did not have an order in and around there. And bang! Down into Tesla we go. We're almost $1 in the money on this one, Joseph. Let's set up in the mid 50s over here. Boom! We just got that quickly. But look at that. Look at that. It just moves right back up super quick. So the Cybertruck really moving here. Well, both to the upside and the downside, but mostly to the downside. We got the print at 70s. We're still waiting for the print in the mid 50s for that dollar winner. We're going to have to pack our patience here on the Cybertruck. It's now flat on the day, 0.08, and it looks like somebody's buying at around 2/3 to 3/4 of a dollar area because it's unable to descend below that. So TSLA certainly on watch, but stuck within a range. So that's what I'm trading it as right now. I'm not trading it as a breakout or a breakdown, but simply as a range between the closing print on Friday and the volume weighted average price. That's my look right now. Joseph, what are you looking at?
Yeah, good stuff here. I just got out of my NVDA trade. It stopped me out break even. We got some partials off on that one, so it's pretty nice. It rejected VWAP and then decided to move to the south side. So keep that in mind. So again, we got that move. We got the range break there. Let's see if we can hold that was once resistance is now support. So if we can hold support, we don't get that selling pressure to step in, then I do think that we can rebound and potentially curl around and then go back to the top side, all right? Keep that in mind, guys. It's a possibility. I think it's almost due. I mean, the market can stay irrational for a lot longer. But I mean, I think at some point this stock is going to bounce. You just have to be able to keep yourself in a position where you're able to take advantage of that, all right? So we got out of that now. No reason to make a winning trade, a losing trade. And then now we can wait to see if we're going to turn back around. If volume steps into the top side, then we get back into that position. But as of right now, we are pulling back. We rejected VWAP. I mentioned the candle above it. So keep that in mind. We are starting to pull back now, but there can always be another opportunity. And speaking of opportunities, IBIT, what are we doing? I don't know. We're saying we're pulling back on a lot of things right now, and Google is starting to reach the bottom of that range again that I mentioned, where volume decides to step in and it breaks that prior support level, then I think there can be a potential leg down on that one. So if the MEG caps are selling, look for the overall index, and chances are it's going to be selling as well too. But other than that, we're going to keep our eye on Google and IBIT to see if we can continue, as well as NVDA. But let's take a look at the Qs here, guys. I mean, still a little shy off of that all-time high, not like the SPY. The SPY touched all-time highs today. Perfect. Just around 600, I think. Let's see, let's get an exact number, 601-ish, yeah, 601.03, and then it started to sell off. So we did make a new all-time high on the SPY, but then it by just a couple cents, but then it did reject, all right, guys? So keep that in mind. We'll keep an eye on the overall indexes. I know indices, I guess, or whatever you would like to call it, but I know Adara mentioned XLF, and I had a JPM trade that I really liked, and it gapped up again. But from a sector standpoint, this thing is absolutely phenomenal. Sell puts against this thing as much as you can. This is something you would want to own for the long term, these sector ETFs. But again, a little red on the session with XLF. Sharif, what do you got going on there?
I'm looking at KULR, but I just got my ad on Tesla. So now we're short 82. So now I've got to wet my beak possibly here and set up new stops. So we're going to go. I just have to throw it to you to adjust my stop.
Yeah,
just
yeah,
for
absolutely.
One quick
Yeah, no problem, guys.
Yeah.
So let's take a gander at Google. As you can see, we do have this this definitive level of support, and then we do have the higher lows, or sorry, the lower highs there, guys. But again, keep in mind, if volume steps into one side, I'm going to look to play this. We have this price compression that I really, really like, and then when the volume steps in, it can give you a definitive direction in which way this stock can potentially move. Yes, there can be potential fake-outs on these types of patterns, but keep in mind, when it really steps in, you'll be able to identify the fake-out, price reverses whatever direction it's going, and then that volume steps in, and then you can base yourself a scalp trade or a trend continuation trade on this one. So let's see what Google is up to for the foreseeable future, the next couple of minutes, if it decides to chop around a little bit more, or we get that volume influx, guys. So that's something that I'm going to keep in mind. RKLB, someone mentioned in the chat. Let's take a look at RKLB, Rocket Lab. Yeah, oh yeah, I know. West, y'all. Yeah, I know you like Rocket Lab. I know this is your stock. Yeah, congratulations on that one. I know I don't know if you said you had any calls on it or anything like that, but again, we're getting the volume on the breakout. We did have this potential turnaround signal. It blew past it. Thesis invalid. Fine. But guess what we're getting now? I really like this signal. We're extremely extended to the top side. Let's see how this print finishes at the end of the day. But I do think for the foreseeable future, and guys, hold me accountable, I do think that Rocket Labs, from seeing what I'm seeing right now, has a potential turnaround in the coming days, my friend. Show me what you got going on.
Yes, so we're doing well, man. We're like 50 pennies in the money over here on the ad. Added at 354. Really happy with this trade. Fat finger, too, just to add icing to the cake, baby. So we're still doing well, even with the fat finger over here. All right, here we go. We're short. Oh, come on, bro. Come on, bro. Come on, bro.
What happened, bro?
I went long on it. I'm acting stupid today. I'm not really looking at my position sizing, so I had to flatten out there. All right, so bad execution, good idea. In any event, I'm gonna try to regroup over here, keep my eye on Snapchat, because that's the one I've got right now. Did dip into 1190. So now I'm asking myself, if this is gonna hold on to 1190 for a hot minute, why am I not adding at this level and then just playing the range, because I'm not getting the breakout on Snapchat. So if it's going to respect 1188, 1190, or wherever the hell people are buying this, I should be adding here and just trading it as a range and then keeping a tight stop below 85s or 84s. 1185s, 1184s is what I'm talking about on Snap, because it's not giving me the breakout. So I think I'm going to account for that. I'm going to set up a dip trade at 88s to do just that. So we'll look to do that in a second. I wanted to talk though about the one that I like going up right now in Mag 7 world. It goes by the name Amazon. Ooh. Amazon's got a nice little upward channel here that we could basically gauge from the pre-market. And aside from this opening range where we have a lot of volume taking place, it's been very respectful of this upward channel, both as a level of support and resistance. I hope you guys can see that on my chart. Let me make these lines a bit thicker over here so that everybody can kind of get the idea of what I'm trying to show. An upward channel right now on AMZN. And it's been, for the most part, respectful, aside, from this pop up there into 201.95, which is essentially the high of the day. Comes right back down and reinstates, not reinstates, but just starts re-respecting the channel that we had put it into. So what I want to see is if we get a 201 break, because it doesn't look like we're going to get it quite yet, if it is to reject off this upward channel. So I could play the range on Microsoft, but here's the thing. So if you've got an upward channel, let me put this to the chat. I really want to hear what they have to say. If you have an upward channel and you know that it's been respecting the up band and the low band, which trade do you choose? Do you trade the short off the top band or the long off the bottom, the bottom band? And here's why I'm asking that. Because I think that there is not just one right answer. That's not what I'm trying to say. I think that there's one better answer than the other. If something's up 1.85%, why would you want to take the short and kind of put the trend against you rather than taking the long off the bottom end? Here's what I mean, Ram. So if we're kind of looking at these two lines right here, from which Amazon has been very respectful, the question I'm asking is, do you take the short off the top trend line or do you take the long off the bottom trend line? I personally want to take the long off that 200 possibly, because it's up 1.9%. So I don't want to be sitting here trying to short it and then get the breakout trade through the top end of the channel and then I'm stopped out. I'd rather go with the trend and wait till it weasels down into around 200. Now, you may not get that because, again, it's trending up, so we could get the breakout. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait for that 200 possible bounce on AMZ and look for the long there. Let's see what people have to say. I kind of do both, says Jay. I have been long and short 10 times on SMCI for a $1 winner each time via SMCX. Shout out to you, Jay. I know you're printing up a storm on that. Let's see what other people said. New York City Urbanisa, she says long. I agree. I agree with you. Jason, long with the trend. Caxman, long. Come on sense, long off the top. Miss Lucia, long. Brad Dietz, long. ACK. I know, well, yeah, I know. Come on sense, I like that. Good pickup, Ram. Everybody is basically kind of saying the way that I thought you guys would say, is go with the trend. If you have a respectful channel, use it, but use it in the direction that it's going. It's pointing up. It's not pointing down. So great. I like that. Okay, so that's a good look there. So we'll look to basically weasel in at 200 on Amazon or thereabouts. I mean, it may not be 200 on the dot because by the time it makes it down there, it could be a little bit higher. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put an alert for Amazon. Let's just put it at around 25s, that $0.25. So we'll be made, we'll have about 25 pennies advance notice, if that even. So I wanted to mention AAPL started the day awfully strong. It is now awfully weak. Look at this. The bleeding continues here on Apple. 233.25 HOD, and there has been no respect for any of these moving averages or VWAP. It's kind of been dancing and moving to the beat of its own drum. If the only area that I can really see price action support was this 231.75. It was an area crest at around 850 in the pre-market. We dipped down. We held that level. We moved back up above VWAP, but just ended up breaking it again. So AAPL not really respecting trend. Possible long though on Apple at 230. I think it's been kind of using 230 as a level of resistance lately until this day over here, until today when we decidedly broke it above. So Apple, even though it looked dead, look at this upward trend, upward channel that we've been putting on Apple on the daily. 230, I'm looking long here on Apple if it does work down there. Joseph, what are you looking at?
Yeah, I'm over here looking at Google. We are potentially about to break some support here that I mentioned. So we have the flat bottom break potentially coming up here on Google.
Holy.
So let's see if that volume starts. See, there we go, bang, and it's starting to move to the downside there. Flat bottom break. I'm not in it quite yet, Sharif.
My bad.
But we're gonna wait. We're gonna wait and see because it could be a potential fake out. I really want to see that momentum kick in, that volume step in, especially if we're gonna break these levels. But we're gonna come back and take some more of a look at Google right after we get back from Madeira.
What we're going to do here is take a look and see what the market's done so far today. We do have here on the S&P 500 and the Qs looking pretty similarly. They both ran up right off the open, then fell to the downside. The Q's actually in a bit of a range here since that push down here off the open. 507 is about the base, top here about 508, but slightly lower highs for the Qs, with the SPYs a little bit more consolidative, pushing lower here after that move to the downside. The initial enthusiasm in the market was attributed in part to the decision of President-elect Trump to choose Scott Bessent as Treasury Secretary, or at least that's his planned nomination there. As a hedge fund manager, Scott Bessent is viewed as a positive choice for the market as Treasury Secretary. So we'll see how all this unfolds, but lots of moves in the markets. A lot of stocks look a little bit like this. We had Snowflake pushing nicely up here off the open, rejecting the previous day's high here at 178 before pushing lower. Snowflake and Palantir were both nicely pushing to the upside on positive analyst notes from Wedbush, with Wedbush analyst Dan Ives actually upgrading the software sector as a whole thanks to AI positivity. We also have Sava on watch here, SAVA. This is Cassava Sciences. They actually had top-line phase 3 data that did not meet its endpoints with regards to its Alzheimer's treatment study. They've now paused the study indefinitely, halted the study. And it's actually interesting enough, Pharma Bro Martin Shkreli had actually been saying to short Sava previously, then this news comes out. So SAVA down about 83% right now, guys, currently trading around that $4.30 mark. Make sure to vote for your tickers of choice. I believe SAVA has an option there. It is in the poll. You have 4 options until 12:30 p.m., at which point we will have a new poll that gives you 4 more options. The top 5 tickers out of these 8, the 5 that gets the most votes, will be covered on the rundown segment at 2 p.m. with Neil and Obi. So make sure to check that out. In the meantime, speaking of Neil, he's going to be giving us his lesson of the day. Take it away, Neil.
Thank you very much there, Adara. What do the New York Giants, the Las Vegas Raiders, and Dallas Cowboys all have in common? Well, I'll tell you what they don't have in common. They don't have a plan. And when you don't have a plan of action, you're going to find yourself in a world of trouble. If you don't have a plan, you can't stick to the plan. And if you can't stick to the plan in this game, the trading game, then you are just gambling out there, which is exactly what those teams do. They gamble that whatever nonsense they happen to be doing is going to somehow work out for them, and then everything will be fine. Now, in the NFL, you can be trash and still make piles of money. In trading, you can't actually do that. So it requires that you have a plan. So the simple lesson today is, what do I mean by that? So I'm just going to walk you through the majority of my trade. I won't go through every single one of them, but we'll just go through a few to give you an idea of a plan. It all starts with, what are you trading and why? Where do you want to get in? What is your execution reason for getting in? Where are you wrong? And do you have any profit targets or reason to get out? So I'm going to start with SMCI here. What am I trying to do? I want to go long because it's been trending up from the bottom since they got the new auditor. Okay, so it's a continuation play. If it was above prior high, I wanted a long. I didn't get the dip buy, so now I need to look for an entry point. Well, it gave a setup similar to the one that we had on Tesla, where we do not get the dip, we do not get the initial break, but it confirms trend. It then does higher lows into a flat top break. So it's a simple flat top break strategy on the original entry trade. It's that simple. My out, prior bar stops, 36.90. That's about 35-cent risk. Scalps them out at 1-to-1, and then hold for a trend reversal. When it broke trend, I got out. Very simple. Second trade here was a VWAP hold, candle above VWAP, get out at prior bar low. Very simple plan of action. Both of those trades They set up in a different way, but I have a reason why I'm looking at the stock. I have a reason to get in. I have a place that I'm getting in. I have either targets or a reason to get out of that trade. Second one in here, new one, AMD, looking long. Why? Well, I mean, AMD's not the best looking daily chart out there. However, consolidating off the bottom, 141.50, big time resistance taking out, so I'm favoring the longs. Now, right away at the open, does it hold above there? Absolutely not. It rejects it. But later on in the session, we're able to get a double top break, so that's a breakout trade. What are we doing? Taking breakout, scalping at 1-to-1. Prior bar bottom is my out. That is my out. I still like the trend. Where am I going dip to? Dip to either VWAP or pre-market high. Support, pre-market high, get in, stop underneath, trend back into the prior high of 142. Again, reason to get into the stock. Patience to wait. If I like it here, doesn't mean I want to hold it to there. I look for a bottom at the price or support to resistance that I like, and then we take that trade. You know what? I want to give you Ford as well here because, and again, every trade is going to be a little bit different. This was a simple case of I'm willing to play in either direction. Why? Because it was a monster level on Ford. Daily chart, here's $11.37. You can see it over and over and over again. Since August, this has been resistance on Ford. So my first look was at the open when it rejected that top. Look at it put in a lower high. Let's just take the short off of that level. So it's also Friday's high, so you have some confluence there. So I short off that level once it's established. Scalp to first support. Right in here, want to hold if it can break down. If it breaks the top, now I said at the time because it was a big level, I wanted to reverse long above that 40. So we reverse long off the 40 level. Get out, get in off the 40 long. Every single time, and if you watch the morning show, before I get into the trade, and sometimes we talk a little bit fast, I get that. But it's not just this is what I'm looking at, this is where I'm looking and what I need to see happen, and then I'm getting in there. This is the area I want to take profit out in front of. This is the area I want to hold down to had it worked. The breakout trade, the reversal, I said I wanted to reverse this. SMCI, no reversal, which is fine. AMD, no reversals on those trades when we get out. Obviously, it's all well and good to say on AMD, well, you know, Neil, when you get out here on that failed breakout trade, why don't you just go short? Because that wasn't my plan of action. Now, there is a world in which maybe I'm flat and I'm not trading this stock and I'm looking for a mean reversion short. I'm thinking AMD is a short. I might consider saying I'm not taking this breakout trade, I'm not favoring long, and then I would have a rule here. This is a trade that I've made before if I'm bearish on a stock at a resistance level. It fails to break out, I short right in here. I know my stop is going to be right there. My play is to profit into VWAP. I can always hold some after that. But if you don't have a plan of action, it's not just that you'll be like waffling in and out here, averaging in and doing all kinds of weird stuff. But the other side of it is you can't then judge your trades with any actual semblance of reality or confidence. And then you can't judge your results. Because if you don't have a quantifiable plan, then you don't have something repeatable to which you can judge as a simple strategy. Suddenly, all you're looking at your results for is, well, what's my P&L this day based on these random actions? What's my P&L this day based on those random actions? Instead of, this trade is getting me this, this plan is working 80% of the time, and its win rate is giving me 1.5 to 1. When you have an actual plan of action that you can describe and take time and time again, tried and true, then it's easier to refine it. It's easier to make it better or maybe scale up with confidence. All of these things are really important to a trader, but it comes down to this. Every single time you see me enter a trade, I promise you I can verbalize the entire thing in 20 or 30 seconds. Every single trade. And if I can't, it's a fail. That's simple. If you can't explain your trade to somebody else, you don't have a trade because you don't have a plan. I know it seems harsh, but it's the truth, and it's your lesson of the day.
I just want to build on what Neil said right there because there was a floor manager by the name of Greg. Neil knows him very well. Greg McEwen, shout out to him. And he said basically the same thing that Neil just said there. If it takes you more than 20 seconds to articulate your trading plan to me, it's probably too complicated and not worthy of following. So I got to echo that sentiment 1,000%. Thank you very much, Neil. Informative, eloquent, and all around awesome as always. Neil Roberts every day around that noon time. Joseph, how you looking over there, buddy?
I'm looking all right, brother. I know you're doing pretty good over there with your Tesla. So I'm looking to possibly short Google up here, guys. If we decide to break, you know what I'm gonna do? You know what I'm gonna do here?
What?
I think I have to. If we squeeze here, so let me have a definitive out. As you can see, we are forming these lower highs here. I'm going to give myself a definitive out of around 167.79. All right, so that's about 30 cents. I think it's going to be a little bit of a tough one because we're not getting volume stepping in like I would like. And I'm buying the bottom of the range, which the more I'm talking about it, the more I'm kind of talking myself out of it. But again, I like this pattern. I do think that the support level can break, especially if all the other parties like Tesla is continuing to move to the downside. All right, yeah, we're in here. We like this volume step in, especially because I've seen Tesla make another move lower. So I'm going to get into this, guys. Let's see if this support can break. I'm not going to mess around with it too much. I think this trade, these just may take a couple of times to enter. But as of right now, it seems to be working half decently. Let's see if we can get the volume to step in on the lower time frames. Bam, and then there we go. We take a leg down. Okay, so the timing was just right on this one. As we're breaching, that's what being patient is. You wait for that definitive entry, and then you can get in on these moves exactly like that. And sure enough, bam, there we go. We take another leg down. Shrave. Now I think it's time to take a tiny bit off here, my friend. But again, I like this move here. I had this plan, this trade planned out as Neil and Shreve are just talking about. Simple plan, break of support, volume step in, momentum to the downside. That's it, done. Thesis explained. That was my idea. It played out. We're going to go to Adara and see what she's got going on.
SAVA on watch here. Cassava Sciences did just mention this one here during our afternoon happening now. It's actually getting a bit of a push to the upside now, trading around $4.80. Not seeing any new news or news updates on this stock right now, but it's worth noting Cassava Sciences here does have a short float of about 43.2%. So pretty hefty short float for SAVA, which could be what's giving it this little push to the upside. In case you missed it, this one is trading lower after halting its Alzheimer's treatment study because its phase 3 top-line data did not show what they were looking for. SAVA, guys.
Thank you for that, Dara. Do you want to continue, or you?
No, I was just going to say something. Almog Mazor in the chat said, "Love the new top trade weekend segment." By the way, yeah, thank you. Love it too. I'm watching theirs, so you know what? The boy's gonna have to step his game up. I did like the thesis, but the plans were absolutely fantastic. I really liked yours.
I appreciate it.
I mentioned the Mara trade, and I think Neil had SoFi, I think, in that one,
yeah.
and Sean had Apple and iBit as well too. So yeah, it was fantastic stuff.
You had iBit, right?
No, I had AMD.
You had AMD.
I had AMD
right.
for the balance.
I remember I heard iBit in there.
Yeah.
Super quick. Okay, guys. So I did execute on that trade on Tesla, but true to form, we're a little bit disappointed with it. We got short 52s. I ended up covering at 51s, and yeah, now it just got to 48. So that's what it is there. Yeah, Joseph's going like this. He's like, this is a version, I guess, of weekends or whatever, right? So this one's really coming down now. But this is at a really interesting area, Joseph, because that's the exact same area we found support last time, that 347 2/3. I think that's where he is the one, Knob, is actually long. So we'll have to see whether this area bounces back up again. Now, I'm short right now, or sorry, excuse me, I'm long Kodak over here. Oh, wow. So this Kodak area could be super interesting for me. I planned a dollar cost average at this mid-50s, low 50s to account for this area crest over here. I'd like to see if this area gets defended. Right now, it's at 52s, but it's not printing me. So we'll have to keep an eye on this one to see if I can get printed. The market took a big boy flush. So we just made the new low the day, I believe, on the market. So these small cap gappers, they don't really move to the beat of the market's drum. But it's just good to keep an eye on because we're trading some other stuff as well, some Mag 7 related names, Tesla, Amazon. We've got our eyes on those. So here is the level that I like on the Zon. It did breach that 200, so we had that alert out. Now I want to see exactly what it does here. Are we done bleeding on Amazon, or what's the situation? Oh, where's my Amazon chart? Let's just find that. There we go. So I'm going to keep an eye here on AMZN and see if it wants to catch a bid. It did breach 200, but it wasn't the 200 level that I was trying to get in at. It was the low end of that down or that upward channel that we've been talking about. So going to pack my patience to see if Amazon wants to catch a bid in and around this level. I could certainly be persuaded. So now we're getting away a little bit from that level. Let's go ahead and put that there, and we'll put 73s as our out. Now this may be a bit of a, it's kind of trouble trying to catch a falling knife, but we're going to give this one the old community college try and see if we can, where did we get long? So we'll look to wet our beak a little bit there. We'll throw out some orders if we can in and around the levels that I think we'll probably encounter some resistance in. But this one does look like it's coming down, so I got stopped out again, yeah. So that's going to be the last trade that I have on Amazon based on this down upward channel, because it's not respecting the upward channel. So this was kind of the look we were going for earlier, looking to take it off that lower band, but it's not holding up at the lower band, or at least it's not for now. So that's 0 for 2 right now for me on Amazon. If it wants to reinstitute that upward trend into that 201 and maybe even higher, then we'll get back in. But for right now, I don't have a read on it, or don't seem to have a read. So we'll pack our patience with that one, AMZN, making me look real bad. Wow, and it's already up 15 pennies higher than where I got stopped out. So a bit of a tougher look on that one. Let's have a look at Kodak, see what that one's doing. Okay, so we did get our ad at 52s, and now it's showing me 54s. It's really going to have to hold up above 40s. 40 is the area crest over here, or sorry, trough that we bounced off last time. So if it doesn't hold up there, then there's really no trend that I should be trading this for. We'll look to see if we can do a little bit better over here on Kodak than we did on Amazon. Keeping my eye on Tesla, because that level that we talked about, that double bottom where the OB, he is the one Kanoba had his original long in the 347s, defending for the third time on the day. So the first attempt there at 10.10, the second attempt at 10.35, and then we have a hold up right now at mid to low 347s on TSLA. We'll see if this one wants to hold up above that level, curl back up, maybe take 350 again. I can certainly participate in that. We'll keep tabs on that. And then, last but not least here, the mother of all rounded tops off the volume weighted average price on NVIDIA. Holy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 red 5-minute candles in a row. They're not the biggest 5-minute candles, but they are quite decisive, and there's no greenery in there. It's just reddery everywhere, Joseph. Yeah, off that level, and it's looking like it wants to touch that 136.22 LOD on NVDA, now down 3.58. Where are we at daily-wise? Yeah, okay, we're like 1% off the highs. Yeah, let's all calm down. All right, there's really nothing to see here.
There's no blood in the streets
not
just yet for NVDA, and I don't think there will be anytime soon. Yeah, exactly. I know some people were just asking about the growth and the continuous growth of NVDA. I mean, Wall Street and the analysts have it projected for a multi-year potential bull run, so just keep that in mind. They really like the outlook of stocks for the foreseeable future for the next couple of years. We might be in an extended bull market, guys. So especially we don't have any really negative, even though there's a little bit of geopolitical tension, the overall outlook for stocks in the American economy is something that we need to keep our eye out on. And so far right now, it's just doing absolutely just fine. So keep that in mind. And then Almog Mazor, again, he asked me, Joe, do you partial often as an options trader? No, Almog, I don't, because I usually swing my positions, so I'm not looking to partial. So if I'm making a credit-based trade, I'm not going to just close a couple contracts and blah, blah, blah. I'm either going to fully exit or fully enter, right? So I don't really partial. I mean, if you have multiple contracts in your specific setup, by all means partial, but just from the strategy standpoint, credit-based trading, I'm looking for those to expire worthless, so I'm not going to look to take a little bit off, especially when the trade's working in my favor, because time is working in my favor with credit-based trades, and it's just collecting premium. So I don't want to just like take a couple off when it's really working in my favor and then the volatility is decreasing and I'm just collecting premium day after day. So no, I don't partial on that. So that was a really good question, Almog. Guys, if we can pull up my Google chart, then yeah, I don't know. Again, we got that level break. Let me zoom in a little bit here and see if that volume started to pick up. And sure enough, guys, look at the volume start to step in relative to what it was before. I know that's not the best example; it's hard to see. But again, that just gives you a little bit more confirmation as we decided to break that key support level and the volume weighted average price as well too, around 167.50. We had the volume on the lower time frames start to pick up, and sure enough, that can just give me a little bit more conviction within the setup. It's like, okay, so we had Tesla selling, we had NVDA selling, we had Meta selling, and then now Google was holding these key levels. Well, the overall market is selling. It was only a matter of time until one party eventually gave up and lost, and that would be the bulls in this case. So it broke those key support levels, and then now we decided to move lower. And as you can see, the bears, the volume is starting to step in as price starts to depreciate. All right, guys, so keep that in mind. Yeah, the lunchtime flush too, absolutely. We're sitting around that lunchtime hour. Some profit taking possibly from earlier in the session. We had really strong opening drives. You can see this 5-minute range here on Google, extremely strong, followed by about 10 minutes of continuation as well too. And then it just kind of fell into this consolidation. It was consolidating for the, I guess, past, it failed to make any new highs after this one candle. So from about 10 o'clock or so, 9:45, this thing was sitting in a consolidation zone, and then sure enough, making lower highs. It then broke on volume. The volume stepped in, and then sure enough, you can base a trade off that. So that's yeah, Miss Yellow Dot. I make you feel, yeah, I'm glad that that's all you can do really. Just build your plan. It either works or it doesn't work. And one thing that unfortunately is starting to pull back a little bit more is IBIT, Sharif. But you know what that means? It means that we get the ability to just buy more at a cheaper price.
Well, I was kind of hoping that too, bro, because you know I don't have
it was so extended. Yeah, exactly. So hold on, I'll pull up the Bitcoin chart real quick, and then we'll send it over to you.
Yes, sir.
But just keep in mind, it was only a matter of time until this thing pulled back, because you can't go parabolic like that forever. I mean, we were up 30%. After we broke the all-time highs, and then there you go, Google just takes another big leg down. But I mean, look at this. All we had was this breath right here, quick consolidation, and then we take that second leg up. So this is a totally healthy pullback, guys. Don't be scared out. Don't paper-hand it or anything like that. This is what you would want to see. This is healthy in order for us to take that continuous leg higher. So I'm glad that we see this pullback in IBIT, brother. What do you got going on?
Yeah, the market continuing to flush, Joseph. 20,800 could be a thing at this level. So we're going to have to pack our patience and see that. We're involved in Tesla as a long at this level. So I'm trying to place my stop strategically over here, but I've got to account for risk. Obviously, I like where it's holding up at that low 347s, high 346s. We'll see if this one wants to run up and possibly curl back up into 350. It's at the area low where we kind of defended at the earlier time of the day. So we'll see what Tesla wants to do over here. TSLA trying to catch that bottom. We had multiple shorts to the, successfully today on Tesla off that VWAP rejection. Happy with those trades, but now I'm looking at taking it the other way. And obviously, I'm keeping an eye on the market because of the correlation between the NQ and TSLA. Trying to account for this one using strategic stop placement, but that's tough to do with the Cybertruck, certainly. We did get our ad on Kodak at 52s, but it did work its way right back up into 60. And look, it's having issues with 60 again. It's at 58s, which is fine, but there is certainly selling at 60. I couldn't get the print above 60 first time around. It looks like I'm unable to get it second time around. Here we go, 60 again, showing up on the ask, looking for this one to see if it can break through that 60 top. And I've got all my orders layered there for the fills. We'll have to see if that one wants to move up there. He stopped at a Tesla. For this one, it made a new low above that, below, that $0.50. So keeping my eye on this one. That's a bit of a tough trade right now for me. Now I just went negative on Tesla. So, yeah, that's a bit of a tough one, especially since it moved right back up there. But I wasn't going to account for that 347. I couldn't give it that much room based on how many shares I had. So, yeah, I had to take the stop at 347.60 there. or 347.50, excuse me, but there is still a lot of chop and churn. It's not making decisively lower lows. In fact, it's still holding up at that level, so that's just bad stop placement. Maybe I should have had smaller size so I could have counted for the stop a little bit better. Here we go, TSLA catching a little bit of a bid now. We'll see if this one wants to run back up to the upside, possibly make its way up into 350 again. Now, I mean, it was using 350 for a hot minute as an area of support, no longer the case. Using that 347, let's call that the area of support on the day right now. So here we go, we're long again. We're about what are we, like 40 pennies in the money? Let's set up some orders in the high 80s here, see if this one wants to run up into that 350 area. It's a 4-candle hold up at that 347 area. So I like the fact that it's holding up there. Disappointed with my execution. So we'll keep an eye out on that one. Let's keep an eye out also on Kodak as it continues to range at 60. Now I'm seeing 61s finally come in here. So not a bad look there. So I'm pack my patience with both those levels. Let's see how we're doing on the votes. Okay, not too bad right now. Let's see over here. So who's winning? NVIDIA, shocking, 52%, and it's like kind of well, Mara's leading in third there with 19%. Not really surprised there. Rivian, I thought you guys would have given Rivian a bit more love. It's up big on the day, or at least it was last time I was looking at it. Where's it at right now? Rivian, where are you, my friend? Rivian, 12.7%. Not a bad look. 52 million shares traded today for Rivian. We almost have 1,500 votes. You guys are killing it lately with the voting. You guys have been really doing real well. We're going to throw up a new poll in about 4 minutes with 4 new tickers. We'll take the top tickers from this poll and the top tickers from the second poll, which we put halfway through the show. And then on the afternoon rundown, starting from 2 to 2:30, we'll give you the top 4 of those bad boys. And whichever ones make it on are the ones that the big kahunas are going to talk about. Today we've got Obe. He is the one, Kanob. So make sure you're checking that segment out for what he's got to say about things. Joseph, what are you looking at?
Yeah, I'm over here looking at Google, guys. I'm all out of the position on the short side now. But one thing I want to keep an eye out, and we'll see a little bit cleaner of a print here, is this on the 1 minute. I don't know if it's valid. If it breaks the low, thesis invalid. But if we hold, there can be a potential bounce or just a little bit of a retracement here from or a pullback from where we currently sold off. So just keep that in mind. That's always what I'll base the risk off of. And we have this candle after this a little bit of extreme selling on the lower time frames. And then sure enough, we seem to be holding. We got a little bit of a bounce. But the thesis will be if we break this, then we can continue to the downside. But if we decide to hold, then we can potentially pull back. So I'll wait and see for the possible test. If we hold within the 106.81, sorry, the 166.80s level, then I'm going to look for a potential bounce on this. Even though, excuse me, I was just short. I'll wait. I'm going to wait, actually. But again, I like this signal here for potential bounce on Google. So I'll definitely be keeping my eyes on that. Guys, I just want to mention something on GE. I have a swing on this thing. I'm looking to definitely size up drastically on this, but I needed to re-enter the gap. I've been holding this since the initial breach of the gap. We're starting to curl back over. I was near pennies on getting stopped out on this thing with a stop around 175. But again, let's just keep in mind, as soon as we breach 185 again, I'm going to substantially add to this position because that's how much conviction I have within the gap fills. So yeah, we'll look to that. So that's just my look on GE, guys, there, General Electric. So keep that in mind. Let's see. I thought we were going to go this morning because we did gap up. As you can see, we entered. We opened up a little bit higher than where we closed on Friday. So I'll keep an eye out on that. Let's see. This seems relatively healthy. Let's see what the coming days brings. If the market does decide that it wants to turn around and start trending to the top side, Qs can potentially break all-time highs as well too. So just keep that in mind. We'll keep our eyes on that. But as of that right now, Sharif, I don't have any positions right now. We're going to wait and see what NVDA is up to. And Tesla, I know you've been trading Tesla a lot this session, but I'm just going to keep my position. I'm just going to wait right now. So NQ creating new lows. Yeah, exactly, Deer Oil. So we had this. We had Google. So again, no need to force the longs here. So we had that on Google. Then we had this on NVDA, and then we had this on IBIT as well too. So again, IBIT holding these lows here, so we're just gonna hold on to some things. MSTR, some people are asking me to take a look at, so I will take a gander at MicroStrategy because it is trending. Yeah, trading right below VWAP. Again, let's see what this market is doing. Let's wait for the selling to cool off a little bit, and then we can get a potential bounce play.
All right, just trying to throw Ram. I'm going to send you those in a sec. Ram, I've got 3 out of the 4 for the next poll. All right, where are we here on Tesla? We're long 22, so we're about 20 pennies out of the money, but that was another defend at 347. This is interesting because on the 1 minute, you've got clean defends of 347. On the 1. So we'll see if that one wants to continue to do that because I've built my position or I based my stop around that. So hopefully I don't get stop hunted and hopefully we do hold up at this level and curl back up. The future catching a little bit of a bid in front of that 20,800. You even have the monster NVIDIA curling a little bit over here. So we'll see if this helps the Cybertruck at least defend 347s because that's what I've got right now. But we do have Adara at the green screen. She's got something for us, so let's throw it over to Adara.
What we're going to do here is take a look at some of these small caps. The theme, though, for today's segment is going to be really looking at some of these names with larger short floats that are making moves right now. So IWM here we'll talk about to start because this one underwent quite the reversion. It's still up about 1.5%, but at high of days here, we had rejected at that 245 level. That's right at 11 a.m. Then we fall to the downside. It's worth noting we have pretty consistent volume here on the IWM since the open. It looks like we're getting a bit of an uptick in volume here on this most recent 15-minute candle as we try to hold and push up back above that 242.50. So let's talk about our first heavily shorted name on watch. That's going to be HIMS, Hims and Hers Health. This one does have a short float of about 19.3% for Hims and Hers Health. From what I'm seeing here, Hunter Brook Capital, which is like a hedge fund, short report type social media account, and you're basically saying that they believe Hims and Hers Health is in a really good position to benefit from the decision of Marty McCarry to be the FDA pick from President-elect Trump. So apparently Hims likely to benefit from that cabinet pick with that 19.3% short float. Quantum Corp also on watch here, 18.3% short float. No news for QMCO, but this one has been running over the last little while. And it also, we have that short float and overall quantum strength there for QMCO. Last but not least, SAVA. I actually have the 1 minute chart up here for Cassava Sciences because it's worth noting we did get a little bit of volume coming back in this stock as of late, trying to push back above that $5 level. This one has a 43% short float, getting a little bit of trying to get a bit of a bounce here, but initially falling to the downside, down more than 80% after the company halted its Alzheimer's drug trials because their phase 3 top-line results failed to meet the endpoints there. So SAVA trying to bounce a bit, still to the downside. Lots of heavily shorted names on watch. And make sure you vote for those tickers whenever that poll enters the chat. 4 tickers of choice here, and the top 5 tickers from this poll and the previous poll that started at 11 will be covered on the rundown, guys.
Thank you. Appreciate that, Adara. Keep your eye out on that. So we're still involved in the same position here on Tesla, looking for that 347 defend. It's above 348 again. I've got said Beekwetter just in front of that 349s. We're long 22, so now we're about flat as it's actually printing 33s. We'll see if this one wants to ascend. The previous candle above it, that 1225 candle, had a high of 82. So, it's still not even making a new 5-minute candle to make a new high. It's just the only reason I'm happy is because, well, we're not out of the money anymore, but that ain't the move. The move is to make money, not to be out of the money. So I'm looking for this one to hold up at that level. It's taking a lot longer to retrace, if it was to retrace, than it did in the previous occasion. Well, there was more liquidity then, and the market was a lot more, it's just faster moving at the time. So we'll see if that's the reason we're not getting a bump over here. I'm trying to front run 349 for my Beekwetter on TSLA. You got a 20,800 bump as well. Here we go. About to go back green, possibly right now on, oops, wrong screen, on the NQ December contract. Let's bring in the side chart and have a look at that bad boy over here. This was the level that we got into. 20,808 is the LOD, but 20,850 is Friday's closing print. So we could possibly find resistance over here if the market rejects at the Friday closing print. Secondly, though, we have that 20,875, which was an interesting area that we held there in the pre-market and after the bell as well. So we'll see if that area ends up acting as a level of resistance if 20,850 doesn't. But we're negative right now on the NQ. It's the only major average that's negative. Keep your eye on the Russell. Again, 1.66%. The Dow, I think this is all-time highs again for the Dow. I think we're at 44,000, almost 700. They're up 2/3, and the ES is like kind of flat right now, Joseph, up 0.14. But the NQ really the only one that's negative right now.
Yeah, totally. I'm just looking at the Dow right now. Oh, okay, that's not it. So yeah, guys, someone in the chat mentioned Dell. So let's take a look at Dell for you. I like it because I like the aftermarket close earnings lineup tomorrow that we got cooking.
Hey.
It's actually not bad. One thing that I'll be looking forward to, and I know you might be as well too, because of your Pan W, is CrowdStrike.
Oh, that's going to be big.
Yeah,
Thank you for reminding me about that.
Yeah, exactly. So we got CrowdStrike after the bell. But speaking of bell, Dell, here we go. We'll take a look at this. I mean, it's not bad. I can't really tell you too much. I don't know how many people still use Dell computers. I don't know. But again, from a technical standpoint, yeah, it looks pretty good. So wait for the report. I don't know if you have any equity or options into that. But again, I always say wait unless you have a really good price and you're really in the money and willing to give up some potential unrealized profits. Then don't hold anything through earnings, guys, unless you're looking to play a straddle or something like that. But again, tomorrow after the close, we have Dell, CrowdStrike, Workday, Autodesk, and HPQ. Those are the stocks and Best Buy. Well, Best Buy is in the morning actually. But those four after the bell, or five, sorry, after the bell, I'm really going to be keeping an eye on. I do have a specific strategy I like to play for the earnings report. It's essentially just a 5-minute orb. So I like playing those as well, too. So we'll keep an eye on them, guys. We do know it's a short week. We do have Thursday off. It's American Thanksgiving. Hey. And then you have the half day on Friday as well, too. And I heard Neil mention, is like, hey, watch out for those, like the Wednesday for that volume to step in. People to be closing positions, opening positions, whatever they may be doing. But you can catch some volatility on that front. So just keep that in mind, guys. Make sure you stick up to date with your macro data and upcoming news, because it's just always good to have a good eye and a good idea of what's going on. So, guys, here Google is continuing to move south. I think I don't even have to look. I'm assuming it's driving the overall market down with it as well, too. Same with some of the other mega caps continuing to move south. So we'll see. We're going to wait and see. So that thesis was invalid on that 1-minute play. So keep that in mind. And I had a feeling that it was going to be, because there's nothing in signal to turn around in the overall market. So in order for this to kind of pull back and retrace from those lows, we needed to see some broadening signals, and we weren't getting any of those. So I can see that we're going to continue to move. It may be a red day for the session, especially for Tesla. Tesla continuing to just hover around those lower days. And as we speak, Google is continuing to give back any of those opening drive gains or anything that it put together on this one. Especially we know that what's being filed against them. So again, stock's not looking too good, Sharif.
Yes, sir. Keeping my eye on Cassava Sciences. You guys saw Obi kill this trade in the pre-market today. It is coming close to those, local highs, Ram, that we got into around 485 earlier. That was a nice little pop there right afternoon. We worked our way back down, defended around the $0.50, not much. Below that, right back into low 80s right now with that 485, 486. 86, acting as that local level of resistance. No, don't adjust your screen. This one is down 82%, and it was down worse. It almost lost all its value in like one fell swoop. So this one, we got the headline around 7:30 or just before 7:30, 7:20, that they missed the phase, or they discontinued their phase 3 trials as a result of not meeting the objectives, and then it halted in the pre-market. And in case you don't understand what's going on, if you're halting the pre-market, it's a pending news type situation because there's no volatility halt parameters in the pre, right? So that usually means something's afoot. So we were all attentive to the fact that it halted. And then once it opened, it did not look back. And I don't mean to chuckle about it, because, we may have viewers who have been who were long, I would hope, have since gotten out. This is what we're talking about over here. This is the halt. Each one of these little ticks is 5 minutes in length. So that was halted for, I don't know, like half an hour or so. It opened up right at 8 a.m., right exactly at 8 a.m. And then it went from $25 and the same 5-minute candle. It went from 25, Joseph, to 384. In one 5-minute candle. So it was a tough thing to watch, obviously. And it's not something that I want to celebrate, man. I have Alzheimer's that runs on my mom's side of the family. So, you know, like me, I was trying to champion this cause. And you'd be kind of a weird individual not to want to champion this cause if it was, in fact, accurate. And they were actually, in fact, doing what they said they were going to do, which is cure different stages or help alleviate some of the issues with different stages of Alzheimer's. So, yeah.
Is it really hereditary? Is Alzheimer's?
I believe it is. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's hereditary because it's like too consistently in my mom's family for it to be environmentally driven
really?
rather than
down the line.
nature versus the whole nurture thing. I think I did, Ram, but I'll look at it in a second. Okay, so I'm taking some prints out here, Ram, so I want to celebrate a little bit here on Kodak as we take out, I appreciate you.
Kodak Black, baby.
Hey, yes. Remember that song ZZ?
Yeah.
That was like one of my favorite songs from him. Anyway, he's an interesting dude. Let me just say it like that. So
did you see?
He's so funny.
Yo, dude, did you see
what happened now?
Did you see like I know the streamer stuff, like him on like Kai Cenat stream?
Oh, I know Kai Cenat, but I didn't know what happened with him and Kodak Black.
Dude, just watch it and you're like, he needs.
Okay, so Ram's saying he needs help in my ear. So okay, I gotta look at that.
Yeah, you gotta
Kai Cenat is okay. He's an interesting streamer. Have you ever watched Speed?
Speed, I love.
Speed's hilarious, man.
I genuinely
Why is he
like
angry
Speed.
all the time?
Dude, I genuinely like Speed, but all the other ones are like kind of like iffy. It's like it's kind of boring just sitting there watching you. But I like Speed. Speed is a genuinely interesting character.
Yeah.
He's like
he's legit fast. Like he's a legit runner. Like,
dude, did you say he's like he's gonna try out for like the 2028 Summer Olympics?
Is he actually?
Yeah.
Neil's like zero chance, and Neil talks.
Neil
talks fast.
He's only 19. He's only like 18, 19, right? Like if he were to train hard, you never know, right?
He's beating like legitimate like.
Can I come on for a second?
Yeah. And you know whatever.
Here's the thing.
Get it, Neil.
That guy, he raced Noah Lyles, like the arguably fastest guy in the world, arguably, depending on who you ask. He raced him, and the purse was $100,000. Like very few track athletes make that much money. The thing about it is, the opportunity cost for him to actually train like a serious track athlete to then go, it's not worth it for him to do it. So there's no chance he will do it. Is he talented enough to be a world-class sprinter? Absolutely, if he puts his mind to it. But the amount that this guy makes is like a personality, as an influencer. There's just no reason for him to do it. Like he's giving up too much to then put in that time and effort. Like I've trained against guys that were going to the Olympics before. Like I know what that effort is. Why would you do that if you're banking like him? I just can't see it. So that's why it's not a lack of talent with him. It's just the opportunity cost. From a rational standpoint, I can't see why he would want to do it. But if he pulls it off, more power to him. There's zero question his talent's there. And I said before, after watching that Noah Lyles race, he should try for the 60 meters, the Indoor World Championships. That would be his better shot than trying to race 100 meters where, I mean, come on, man. Even if you get to run 10 seconds, you're not going to make the U.S. squad. You got to run 9.9. And that's just it's almost impossible.
It's
Neil, can you give us your thoughts quickly on Noah Lyles before you go? Because I know you have some interesting thoughts on him.
No, like see, here's the thing about today's world. I actually think Noah Lyles is good for track and field. I got some issues with him and some of the theatrics, but the truth of the matter is we live in a world now where like the bravado and the show me attitude, that's what gets the draws. People would rather see Jake Paul in a terrible boxing match, quality standpoint, than watch Wilder or see actual boxers who are good at their craft. They want somebody with a little bit more personality, regardless of whether they're good or not. So if you can blend that like a Noah Lyles, then ultimately that's going to be good for the sport. So he's good for track. I love track and field, and I think he's good for the sport. But at the end of the day, like I prefer Tebogo, the guy who dusted him in the 200 meters. The guy just shows up, all business, and he knocks it out of the park like he's been there before. He doesn't need to talk no smack to anybody. His running just does the talk for him. I love that personally. That's more my personality. That guy's a stud. And the same thing with Alfred, who won the women's title. But I love Sha'Carri Richardson too.
Hey.
I'm a big fan of Sha'Carri, mostly because of how much people hated on her. I'm like,
what's that hurdler that I like, Neil?
Which hurdler?
The hurdler, the one that dominates everyone, the woman, the American woman.
There's a few women that you could be talking about. Sydney
400
McLaughlin. You're talking about Sydney McLaughlin. Sydney McLaughlin, as far as I'm concerned, is the single greatest female athlete I have ever witnessed in terms of her relative to other competitors. And it's not even close. And Americans don't even understand how dominant their own athlete is when it comes to Sydney McLaughlin. She is absolute and utter nonsense. In a 40-meter hurdle race, when she stepped on the track in the finals, she had better times than the flat 400 times of pretty much everybody out that she was running at. Sorry, in the semifinal. It's ridiculous to be that good. That's like basically NVIDIA versus AMD when you're at the Olympics. And she's a beast. By the way, Obi and I were just talking about Rivian. Everyone needs to put up a Rivian chart to look at the break this morning. Because, come to my chart for a second. Can we do this? Because we were just talking about this breakout trade. This is Friday's high right here. This is the local high on the 15-minute right here. Both those breaks went 1 cent against you if you pull up a tick chart. So the Friday high break and then the week, the local high in the week was like right here. And then you get a 13% move. And everybody knows where that break is coming from. It's coming from a hold of $10. So I already slapped a fail on myself for not looking at Rivian today. Absolute banger of a trade. Now, of course, at this point, we're running the risk of losing the bid, but sometimes we've got to have eyeballs on these small cappers. When Rivian tells you 10 is support and then gives you a long consolidation into a breakout trade, you kind of have to have it. So up, down, left, right, I'm up on the day, but like Rivian was a day maker. Like I didn't have a trade in the books that was better than this Rivian setup. That's 100% true. Bye guys.
We don't only talk stocks, and we talk hurdling, sprinting.
Sports.
We'll talk even influencers and people with streams like that Sanat character.
Yeah.
Cal,
I think he's just kind of loud and obnoxious, kind of. That's just my 2 cents. So, anyways.
Okay, guys. So I got stopped at a Tesla again because the market went boom all the way down, guys. It is a tough day for me trading these large caps today, but the market is looking quite directional, so maybe we should have been in the short after all. Big Spile would be very disappointed in me right now, not having capitalized on this blood. And blood there is, almost 21,100 we got to. We got to 21,081, and now we're below 20,800. So many hundreds of points of range on the day today on the NQ. You wouldn't know it looking at the Dow, the ES, or the Russell 2000 that are either flat or green on the day right now. So we'll keep an eye out on that. And yeah, it's been tougher trading, certainly, these Mag 7 names today. Should we do that now, Ram, or what's the situation? Okay, we got to pay bills, Joseph, so let's get right down to it. If I can load it up. No, I cannot. Okay, so goodness, it's that kind of day today. I like
that kind of day?
Everything's fine, Joseph. Everything is fine. All right, I'm going to have to throw it to you because I don't know what the hell this thing is doing.
Yeah, no problem. We'll send it over to me here real quick, guys. I was just looking at Rivian from a daily standpoint. It's nice to see that big breakout of sitting on top of that range, and then it broke out. So we'll keep an eye out on that.
I got it. All right, ready?
Perfect. Yeah, so we'll trade the pool.
The countdown is on. This is the final week to join Trade the Pool and Trader TV stock trading competition starting December 2nd. You'll be given $200,000 in buying power for 5 days of high-stakes trading with prizes for the top 20 traders. This is your chance to go all in and aim for the win. Are you ready to take your trading to the next level? If so, don't wait. Registration closes soon. Click the link in the description or scan the QR code and secure your chance to compete, win, and trade the pool.
Yeah, I mean, this Google trade here, let's see what happened here with Google. It continued to break down. So, again, I didn't have any size left as it continued to break down. Now going to the opening range lows, see if we can test this pre-market high, which is exactly it's doing. So you see this resistance in the pre-market is now acting as somewhat support here in the intraday session. So keep that in mind there, guys. Let's see if we can get a potential bounce off of that level. Let's take it to Adara.
Just be aware, we do have in about 10 minutes here at 1 p.m. Eastern, we'll be getting the 2-year note auction. So the previous 2-year note auction came in here at 4.13%. So let's see what we get coming in at 1 p.m. in about 10 minutes from now, as we have both the SPY and the Qs, as of right now, trying to bounce a little bit off the lows, guys.
Thank you very much for that, Adara. There you go, Reimer. Okay, so I'm looking at KULR over here. Shout out to whoever showed me or mentioned KULR. It's at VWAP. It's up big on the day, about 68%. Keeping my eye at the 75 penny level. That's where VWAP is. Last time around 1150, it held up at this level. It did defend. So we're going to look to weasel into this and look to get out if it does break that 72 penny area. So we'll give this one the old community college try at this level over here. We'll set up some outs if we can to account for any pops up in the price that there could be. So that's what I'm looking at right now on KULR. But I got to let you know there's a new poll. So there it is right now. QMCO, it's up 130%. You've got SMCI as well. I don't know how many percent this up in a 12 and a fifth right now. IBIT as well on there. And then Zena. Shout out to my best friend's sister whose name is Zena. So I'm going to vote for IBIT because I want this one to come down so I can buy more. And shout out to Vasil Momatek. Get out of here, poll. I'm trying to look at the super chat, bro. Shout out to Vasil Momateko, $5 super chat, $4.99. Guys, do we have a bad data? The market is falling. I'm assuming falling. Any advice? Look, the market does its thing intraday. That's kind of just the way that it works, right? So trading intraday, we're going to have to use technicals and the such. So if you're trading with us for the first time, I don't think I've seen you in the chat before. Just watch out because we're always talking technical analysis. We're not usually talking about investing. In fact, when Joseph and I talking about investing, we're talking about our personal accounts, not what we're trading on the show. Because the rule is we got to be flat by the end of the day. 4:15. We can't be in any positions because we're trading on a prop floor, right? A proprietary firm. It's a firm's money. We trade essentially from 9:30 or before that till about 4 o'clock or 4:15 when we got to be flat. So we're usually talking about intraday trades. On the day today, yeah, we're down on the NQ, but that's nothing new. Obviously, we're looking at very close to those all-time highs, so it stands to reason, we get some resistance in and around this level, Joseph.
Yeah, totally. Just to add on to Shrew's point, sometimes the all-time high breaks aren't that clean. It's a little chopping around, right? So they want to grab some liquidity and then continue to make that move higher, shake a lot of people out. So, I mean, if you've been long for the long term, you just understand that the markets breathe. Unfortunately, we can't just go up all the time. Otherwise, this game would be significantly easier than what it is, guys. All right, so just keep that in mind. DJ Decker, Joe W. Late reply on Alzheimer's is usually passed from father to daughter, then daughter to son. My grandfather died from it. Oh, sorry about that. Sorry to hear that. Anyways, I mean, guys, we're just going to continue to take a look at some of these mega cap tech stocks. We have NVDA that's holding a potential bottom here. So I might look to get involved in this here. I think I'm going to because I do like this potential bounce on this. I don't know why this data is not showing up. But again, we are holding this 136.50-ish level. So I'm going to look to get involved in that as well too, guys. So you can see we have multiple touches from that standpoint around 136.62. And then now we're starting to break back up again. So maybe we're just slightly oversold up from an intraday perspective. And now we're looking to do somewhat of a rebound. I will be a little bit late on the entry, but as you can see on the lower time frames, the volume is starting to pick up. So keep that in mind. But again, I'm just going to get in a little bit of size right here, not too much, because I want to test the waters a little bit and see if we can continue to kind of retrace and pull back and recover from what we've sold off earlier in the session. So we are down about 3.2% on the day. So just keep that in mind, guys. And then we can see it from a daily perspective as well, too. I mentioned this. one thing that I was looking for on NVDA in the past couple of days is I wanted this to open up at the top of this range, which can kind of insinuate, like indicate that, hey, that we can take another leg higher and we go for even more all-time highs, blue skies, more or less. But instead, we opened up at the bottom of this range. So keep that in mind. We opened up below support, and then sure enough, the selling came in. So that's why I didn't get any longs until later on in the session on NVDA. But as of right now, we're in it again. This is going to be our second trade on NVDA. Let's see if it can continue to move and go and test VWAP potentially for the second time throughout this session. But we're looking pretty tough. I have a definitive out here around 136.50s. It is a little bit wider than I would like, but again, we have a volume signature here that can possibly indicate that, hey, we've reached a bottom, some indecision here after some dramatic selling. So just keep that in mind. I think we do get a potential bounce on this. That's why I'm in it. Other than that, Sharif, I think if we don't continue to break VWAP or continue to move higher, then we can potentially take another leg down.
All right, guys, this ZENA is really going over here, 80%, and it's really squeezing. You can tell just by the price action. So big squeeze through 3. Here at 330 right now, 82%, and it looks like it's going to go triple digits anytime now. Look, let's work into this. I'd like to get in something at 3, but look, it's extended right now off the 10 exponential on the 5. Let's have a look at this one super quick on the 5-minute. You know, this might obviously, so it's too extended on the 5. I don't want to get in here. It's going to have to come down into that 3 or something like that. So that's what I'll do. I'll put an alert for this one in and around 3. I haven't traded well enough to be able to take this on a chasing basis today, even though it's already up 20 pennies since I mentioned it. 341 HOD. If it does come back to 3, I'll look at defending it. But there is a lesson that we have to complete, so let's get right to that. Okay, so we're talking about the money flow index today. Now we're going to talk about confirming, we're going to talk about the relationship, I should say, between the money flow index and volume. So the money flow index and volume are very closely related. So money flow index measures buying and selling pressure based on both volume and price, as we mentioned at the top of the show, while volume indicates the amount of activity in the market, obviously. By combining the money flow index and volume analysis, traders hope to gain a more comprehensive understanding of the market dynamics. So let's talk about strategies to use MFI and volume. The first one is going to be use volume to confirm MFI signals, the money flow index signals. So in this particular case, we're talking about divergence between volume and money flow index. So if the MFI is indicating to you an overbought, oversold conditions, in other words, above 80 or below 20, but the volume remains high relative to the previous volume bars, it could suggest to you that the trend is likely to continue. So even though you're in that overbought or oversold area, and so usually you're, a little wary, or is the trend at the end of it here? Well, you need to keep an eye on the volume, because if the volume is continuing to subsist above average, well, even if you're in overbought or oversold territory, you could continue. And how many times have we actually looked at the RSI and observed the RSI to continue to rise above 70, even though it's above 70 already, can hit 80, can continue up to 90. So don't let that, be the only thing that you look at when you're looking at the money flow index, whether it's overbought or oversold. Keep an eye to see whether volume is continuing to remain elevated. If it is, well, we may hang out in that overbought or oversold condition a little bit longer. So that's the divergence aspect of things. The convergence aspect here between the MFI and volume. So if the MFI is indicating, again, overbought or oversold conditions, but the volume is starting to drop off below the average, and a quick cursory look to see what the volume bars before that did, that's what you'll gauge your average on. This is signaling to you a potential reversal. So you're in that overbought area. You're above 80 on the MFI. You have a look at the volume bar for the subsequent day. It's half the previous day where you got into that oversold condition above 80. You may start looking possibly at selling or taking a short position coming down from that elevated 80 print. So that's one way to use it, to confirm the MFI using volume. Second, identifying accumulation and distribution patterns. Who remembers our talk on Wyckoff's accumulation and distribution? Well, can use volume and the money flow index to kind of gauge that as well. Let's talk about accumulation first. So when the price is declining, so you're getting lower lows and lower highs on the price, but the money flow index is rising. In other words, it's making higher highs and higher lows. It could indicate to you that there's accumulation. And why do we look at accumulation? Because that's typically where big money starts positioning into the stock. So sometimes you'll see that as a long area of consolidation. Sometimes it'll be a marginally upward channel with, just very light incremental highs and higher lows. So that's what we're looking for there. So when the price is declining, but the MFI is rising, it could indicate accumulation. This suggests that buyers are gradually accumulating the asset, and that's what we're looking for, that hidden accumulation by institutional buying. They never want to tip their hand. They don't want you to make money, right? They want to take your money. So they're trying to hide what they're doing as best they can, and what we try to do is put the odds back in our favor and try to detect what they're doing. The opposite side of that, the distribution pattern. So when the price continues to rise on the price chart, but the money flow index is dropping, so making lower lows and lower highs, this could indicate to you a distribution. And it's suggesting, obviously, that sellers are gradually selling their positions. And the opposite holds true here. So if you're in that consolidation phase, or you've got a slight downward channel where you are slightly making lower lows and lower highs, that could be also indicative of the distribution. That's not the only way we can use it, though. So you can also set up trading targets. What do I mean by that? Volume-based targets specifically is what I mean. So based on the volume accompanying a breakout or breakdown, obviously, traders can set price targets. For example, if a breakout occurs on high volume, the target could be the previous high. The same thing works in the opposite. You could set your target as the previous low. And managing risk, we always want to manage risk. So how do we do that? Using volume and the money flow index. You can have a volume-based stop loss. So traders can use volume to set dynamic stop loss levels. For example, a stop could be placed a few ticks below the previous low on a day with high volume. Who remembers the weighted moving average that we talked about last week and how we can customize the weights for a moving average based upon any number of factors? We talked about, days with a high volume, days with that print higher lows on the chart. So we could focus our weighting based upon that volume. That's kind of what it's telling you here. You can base it a few ticks below the previous low on a day with high volume. So you may want to emphasize or really highlight the days with above average volume in order to take advantage of that. So that's a few ways we can use the money flow index, Joseph. And now just to have a look here at ZENA. This is still whiffling and waffling right now at around that 320 area. And the 320 area is the 10 exponential on the 1. It's still well away from the 5. That's still all the way down at the the 290s area. I'm interested in picking this up at 3 or 275. We'll have to see which one is the right area, but for now we have it there at the big desk.
We're going to take a look here at crypto, talk a little bit about this. Bitcoin, of course, still looking pretty strong here. This is the weekly chart. As you can see, nice increase in volume over the last 2 weeks, though last week was slightly less volume than the week we saw 2 weeks prior. But I want to talk about this pushback here. We're currently trading just above 95,000. And from what I'm seeing here, according to CoinGlass data, which is a crypto analysis firm, there was $495 million worth of crypto liquidations in that period from Saturday to Sunday. So of those liquidations, the vast majority, or roughly $383 million, were long positions getting liquidated. So it seems like some profit taking place here in the crypto space. Apparently, the vast majority of those liquidations were on Binance. And XRP actually was another one that got sold off pretty heavily here. As you can see, we had a bit of a topping tail candle in XRP on the weekly chart. Switch to XRP USD because it's just the market cap. We had a bit of a topping tail candle there with XRP dropping by 10% on Sunday. Seems like it's a slight, again, taking some profits because we know XRP had a really great week as well. So just be aware, potentially some profit taking happening in Bitcoin, XRP, and some of these other assets. Bitcoin, of course, still doing really well here on this weekly chart and in general. But, as we hear a lot of people say here, Sharif and Joe, sometimes things need to breathe. Maybe Bitcoin just taking a breath right now. Let's see if we hold on to 95,000. But either way, it looks like 100,000 might just be something else for us to wait for just a little bit longer, guys.
Agree with that thesis there, Adara. 100,000, we might just need to wait a little bit longer. I know some of us had potentially by the American Thanksgiving. I mean, it's still totally achievable. There's still a lot of time left. Anything can happen. It can only take a day or so for this thing to really get moving. But just keep in mind, we are breathing right now. That we can't go parabolic all the time. I mentioned this before. We're up about. Let's actually take a look here. Let's see how much we are up from the previous all-time highs. That is, guys. So again, we had a big move here, and then we're gonna go from the peak to peak there. So yeah, 35%. From their previous all-time high, guys. We can't, unfortunately, as much as a lot of people would like, we cannot go parabolic all the time. But again, this thing has its really big moves, and this is what you want to see. And I'm glad Wayne really pointed this out to me a while ago, is just the volatility skew. So as Bitcoin starts to appreciate, you see these large days, like this is almost a 10K day. So that volatility is going to increase on those up days. And then we have the volume starting to dwindle. So just keep in mind, this is still healthy. I mentioned this before. We had that big breakout, really strong. Market takes a breath, ABCD pattern, 3-4 bar play, whatever you would like to call it. And then we take that second leg up. And then now we're just kind of consolidating, pulling back. A lot of profit taking, well, not a lot, but some profit taking, it seems. And then who knows, I think maybe 88s, mid 80s, a little high 80s is totally reasonable. And then again, you can take that push for 100K. But again, the deeper the pullback, the longer it'll take. So we'll see what our timeline is looking at like leading into Thanksgiving. But again, it can happen. We're only about 4.5 or 5K off of that 100K mark. And I think it kissed it just like 99 something last week as well too. So it will hit there, and then when it hits there, I'm gonna want to see that kind of break with some momentum too, so we can continue to move higher and higher. Because we know that guys like Tom Lee, Michael Saylor, and I was doing a little bit of Bitcoin research myself over the weekend. Sharif, something interesting that I seen was you talked about the smart contracts with Ethereum. Well, now there's this new company that's coming out that is like, once you paid your mortgage off, you can take like another mortgage out.
I heard about that.
Yeah, and then have Bitcoin. I appreciate that price.
That guy was on CNBC.
Yeah,
he was trying to sell his product on, what's it called?
Yeah, so I don't know about doing that, but you can. It just speaks for the involvement and what this can potentially lead to, especially you have Donald Trump wanting to start a reserve and just the dwindling. Just the dwindling volume, not the volume, but just the dwindling amount that there is, even though there's only 27 million, but at each halving, that gets cut in half. So the reward for putting security onto the blockchain gets cut in half. So therefore that supply is being cut. There's a supply restraint. You can only have access to so much over so much time. And then sure enough, the demand just goes through the roof on these things. So hence why it's just under 100K from that point, my friend.
All right, we're really going here on Zena, guys. We're long. Where are we long? 29s. We just took out 61s. This one is really squeezing, guys. It's got a higher short float. It's up 100 and some odd percent now. Here we go. We're long 29s. We just popped up into 65s. Let's see if this one wants to continue to go. I'd like to hold on to this one possibly into around 4s. Let's see how 75s does before we start talking about 4s, but we've already taken out, or if we've at least gotten to 2/3, and the bid hasn't stopped. Keep an eye out on the tape. The tape speed, really important with these ones, because when the orders come, they're usually concentrated orders. It's usually a big boy buyer punching in 20, 25,000 shares on multiple gateways. You're gonna have to account for that kind of tape speed, because you're not gonna have many opportunities to wet your beak. Because it doesn't hang out at the price level for all that long, is what I'm trying to say. So here we go. Look at that. From 65 down to 40 in just like that. So in the same way that the buyers are coming in hot, the sellers come in hot in the exact same way. We've now, look at this, 1646 now posted on 2 gateways at the $0.50. You're not going to convince me that that's not the same seller. Like at the exact same size, 1643, 1644 on both gateways there. So big boy size, about 3,000 lots. You just got taken out like that. Got blown through, back up into 60s we go here on Zena. Still packing my patience, up 102%. I'd like something in and around 4s. if we can. 65s right now, Joseph.
I like the breakout volume on that.
Not bad, right?
Yeah,
and the
that's what
bull
you wanna
flag
see. Yeah,
continuation.
that's what
I mean,
you want to see, man.
the bull flag continuation with these small cap gappers is a high probability setup, especially when you are in small cap season. And you don't need to guess that we're in small cap season. Just take a gander at what the Russ is doing. It's up 1.84. The NQ is marginally green, up 0.1. So if you don't think, the Russ outperforming the NQ by I don't know how many times there is not small cap season, well then I don't know what would really account for small cap season. 65's got taken out. Here we go. Let's see if we can work our way into 70s right now, up 103%. ZENA. Did I give you guys the details on this? 63 million market cap, 18.1 million shares traded. I've got no information other than that. Let's bring down trade ideas and have a look at Zeda. I got an 8.23 million share float, and I have no short float to speak of here, so I can't give you information on that. Right down into that $0.50 again. Let's see if that same crazy seller posting on a couple of gateways shows back up. That'll tip his hand a little bit if he shows up again. Now, I don't see right now anywhere near the $0.50 anything similar to the order that was posted there on 2 gateways. So it looks like they got taken out. I don't want to say permanently, but for now anyway. So we'll continue to zig and zag right now with Zena a little bit above 100%, Joseph, a little bit below. Let's see if this one can work its way into that $4 area. ZENA, I'm in that. And Kodak, what's Kodak doing? We're 1 penny in the money right now on Kodak. Nothing doing there with a couple of outs. Doesn't look like this one's going to continue, sadly, though, Joseph.
Yeah, that's right. Sharif, before you send it over to me, there's a good question in the chat there. So what are your guys' thoughts about buying a stock with a high short float, considering you're just looking at
that's interesting. Like, in terms of long-term, who was asking that?
So Stines Martinez.
So personally, if it made sense to me from a fundamental side and I was bullish the stock and the sector, I'd do it. Obviously with a stop, goes without saying. But intraday, that's my bread and butter. I mean, for the small cap gapper traders, because that's the only way that they really squeeze, by having a small float and a high short float, kind of.
That's where you get the squeeze action,
There
the
you
high
go.
percentage. So there you go. That's why I asked you the question.
Absolutely. No, that was like the only thing that I really
answer.
traded back during COVID days. So these short
So-
float things are all
So
about
there you
it.
go. Yeah, good stuff there from Sharif, guys. We're still here in NVDA. It's starting to work out. This is the second entry on this stock, and we're getting that move to that pullback back to VWAP. But one thing I'm going to keep an eye out is for this pivot here. So I'm going to wait and see if we can break that. I think if we can break that, then we're going to create, there's not going to be a lower high, then we can create a breakout potentially trade on this one. It will need to break VWAP as well too, so just keep that in mind. But if it can break this level, then I think there's going to be a little bit more topside on that one, guys. But I'm just going to take a little bit more off and then just let the rest slow cook. I put it in the slow cooker and just let it brew up and do what it has to do, guys. But yeah, no problem. So Stines, call or put on NVDA. Well, the real 21 dough. What are you looking to do? Call or put on NVDA? Are you looking for a short-term play, long-term play? I think someone else, I forget who in the chat, has some puts on NVDA. They're already in the money on those. But again, if you're looking to just collect some premiums, you can do some bull puts. But for the long term, Sharif and I mentioned this earlier in the show, that is something that you would not want to buy a put, a put on a stock like NVDA. Exactly. Let her marinate. Just let her cook up and slow cook and just put it away and just come back to it when it's time. Other than that, we just let it cook up and continue to see what's going on. But IBIT, guys, is starting to recover a little bit on the session. It's still, we were talking about this thing a lot during the session. I know Adara just touched on it, and then I touched on it again. It's still extremely strong. So this is an asset that you can find the potential bounce plays, even though it is breathing. The overall sentiment of this underlying asset is really, really strong, and I think it's going to continue to be. It is breathing right now. It is pulling back, which is totally fine and totally healthy. We're not getting any panic selling. There's no reason to panic sell, so that's why you'll see these kind of extended rebounds in this underlying asset, all right? So you can see that it held the 53.90 level really strong, and now it's bouncing off of it. You can see those things. These are the type of assets and underlyings that I'm going to be looking to play bounce on, or something that is extremely oversold, like the AMD example that I had when I did the trade the week ahead trade ideas. I had an idea that, okay, yeah, we're down 18.5% since the earnings day. It's extremely oversold and supposed to be number 2 in the AI chip race. Eventually, this thing is going to get a bounce. You just have to be patient enough, wait for the market to finish its selling, and then let those signals be displayed in order for you to take those trades. So that's why I built that thesis on AMD. That's why I had other kind of bottoming signal theses throughout the intraday. Just let those signals come to you. You can base trades off of those, and then let price action tell you if you're right or wrong, my guy.
Yes, sir. Okay, so we just took our beak wetter quick there, as you like, on Kodak. Finally, coming back from that 656 area. I don't know, just popped up quick as you like into 666s, and that's where it's been rejecting for a little bit. So it's a little ominous, if you ask me. So I'm definitely not going to put a beak wetter at 666s. Hence why it's at 6.7. I'm a little superstitious, and then we're going to hold on for 70s if we continue to ascend. But yeah, I like what's operative here for Kodak for me is the higher lows that we've been putting in ever since we got into that volume weighted average price. So I like the look, but I want that 70 blow off top coming in a little bit sooner rather than later. Sometimes you got to wait for these ones to hit the more liquid time of the day. So I've got my profit takers all lined up there waiting for that to either reject or print. So pack our patience there. Back to ZENA. I put my stop here just below the, I've only got one more out on this one. So I put my stop just below my entry. I'm long 29, so I put it at 28s. It's print in 50s. I'd rather give this one all the way back than take it out here, okay? That's just my own personal preference. Some other people, you know, they're going to want to take the print here and you know, definitely lock in that money. To me, it's more about following through the process and creating those neural pathways and, you know, just sticking with the trade. So I'd rather do that and then get stopped out. So we'll keep an eye on that. UAVS, Pretty Panda was talking about this one. He mentioned it to me earlier, and he mentioned it again. So let me talk about this one, because it's a good look on the day. And like this one was running last week. It's not one that we haven't seen before. It's beautiful today. Very respectful of the 5 exponential moving average. Sorry, the 10 exponential moving average, I should say, on the 5-minute chart. UAVS, here it is. Good look. If you're looking at getting it, and I personally would get it off the 10 exponential. But let's have a look at it on the daily. What does this one look on the daily? I tried to load it up on the daily, and it just takes way too long, Pretty Panda. So I can't do, for whatever reason, the analysis there. Oh, there we go. So decent look. I mean, it did a 50-to-1 split, it looks like, back on October 15th to regain compliance there with the NQ. So this is one that's been obviously in a bit of trouble. And looking at the chart, you can kind of see that already. They had also a 20-to-1 split back in earlier this year. So we've got 2 splits. First one, 20-to-1 all the way back in February. And then again over here, October 15th. So 2 splits to stay in compliance with the NQ. I don't know if that's a ringing endorsement. No question about that. Also had a hell of a lot of trouble with the 50 exponential on the 5. And Pretty, I mean, like, look, if this one breaks and takes 7, it'll be the first time it's been above the 50 in a hot minute. So that could get my attention, but look what it's done lately. 50 reject, 50 reject, 50 reject. Most of the times it works its way into the 50 exponential, it does reject. What I do like, though, is this bottom that it put in around, say, a buck, I don't know, what is that, buck and 2/3, a buck 75, and then we've got incrementally higher highs and higher lows with a good amount of volume. So, you know, I never want to really fall in love with the story of a small cap gapper. Trade the technicals is what I say there, and leave the love stories for the big companies, the real market cap companies, the ones that have income now, not income maybe later. But this one, I'll keep an eye out on it just because it's curling and it is a nice little look there. Okay, back to Zena. Got stopped out for the remaining amount as it did come back into that level, but I like this level over here. So if this holds up, why do I like this 330 level? because it's an area consolidation top. That's like the top end of the bull flag before the continuation. Now, this is certainly not a bull flag continuation because you're not supposed to come back down like that. So if it wants to hold up at 330, I'll punch long. And again, I don't have to have the best price, but the idea would be to use 330 as support rather than resistance this time around for the ultimate break of 370. But I don't need to be first to that. Let's have a look quickly at Kodak. So we get one print there, quick as you like, and then right back down. Oh, it's not right back down. It's at 65s. It's just dark pool prints that are coming in that are skewing the chart. So we're still at 65s here on Kodak. Not really much to report on there. Shout out to Pretty Panda. Thanks a lot. Thank you, my man. Thank you for covering it. Kanye East, anything on Tesla? I'm staying away from Tesla today. I initially traded it well. It ended up taking me negative, and I got a little frustrated with it. So I'm trying to, regain emotional control, and that doesn't include trading Tesla right now. So I'm gonna leave that one to be.
See you later. See you later,
Yes,
Elon. We don't. But Sharif, I was actually, because the chat was going crazy on Tesla, so I decided to take a look at it, and then we had the volume really step in here. I don't know what we're gonna call this. I don't know if we're gonna call this stopping volume or igniting volume, because it's not necessarily at a price in the chart that I would like to see it to be. But again, guys, you're absolutely right. You see that big volume influx, that big amount of volume step in. One thing is that I don't like about this is that now I don't like, for an out, I have to give it all the way down here. So I have to wait and see if this is gonna be continuing volume, or we might put in somewhat of a reversal and start heading northeast there, guys. So only time will tell. There's a lot of time in the day. I am bullish. I was looking for a little bit of continuation within the strength on Tesla that we had from Friday, because you've seen that volume step in on Friday. It was very definitive, and then it just moved, and then the pullbacks weren't very deep on it at all. It just chopped around in there. But we're going to take some more looks at Tesla and what else is going on. I know IBIT is now just below VWAP, but we'll talk more when we get back from Madeira.
Actually, I have a headline here on Tesla. TSLA on watch. We've got a bit of a volume spike, as you can see here on the 3-minute chart. Basically, we have Bloomberg reporting that California's proposed EV credit would not include Tesla under its proposal. So for some context here, earlier today, we had Gavin Newsom, who is the governor of California and who Elon Musk has been kind of vocally not a proponent of. Gavin Newsom said that California would be looking to offer rebates for EV purchases if these incoming Trump administration does get rid of the federal tax credit. So now Bloomberg reporting that should this tax credit come through, it's not going to be including Tesla. So pretty interesting stuff here. Keep an eye on TSLA. Again, while the EV credit has actually been floated by Gavin Newsom, this story that it would exclude Tesla has only been reported by Bloomberg. It has not been confirmed, guys.
Joseph, everything is fine. It sounds fair. Right, bro, come on. Tesla's ahead of everybody else. They don't deserve the tax credit, bro. They didn't put the hard work. They didn't launch everything. They didn't do anything, Joseph. Stop giving them so much credit, man.
Jeez, that's insane. That's absolutely insane. I don't know how you can say EV, you get the EV credit with any exceptions except for your Tesla, which is absolutely insane. Elon's gonna have something to say about is gonna have something to say about that. And the chances of that holding up are, if you ask me, are probably pretty slim.
Bro, this is next level, man. Next level.
Yeah,
he doesn't get invited to the White House, the EV summit, the electric vehicle summit, Joseph.
No.
He doesn't get invited. And now his cars do not qualify for the tax credit. Bravo, Newsom. Bravo. I think he's outgoing. I think he's done his terms. So, when you're done your term, you kind of don't really care.
You just do what you want at this point. I don't know. That's unfortunate. I don't think that's going to last long.
Neil.
Yeah, so
have a look at the
I don't know. I don't know. Guys, so we're just going to hold off here on Tesla and see what's going on. So as you can see, that volume influx, it's not really withstanding. Don't hold too much weight to that. If Elon wants to get that turned around, he will, considering he's now the head of Doge. So just keep that in mind, guys. It's just all noise. Yeah, that's what it is, bro. It's noise, is it not? It's just noise.
Absolutely, Joe.
Yeah, it's all just noise. And the fact that you would even say something like that is absolutely absurd. But yeah, I don't know. Sharif, you can trade everything but your small caps there. I think,
Yeah, I know.
Right, so
We can, yeah. And according to Epic Strategy, Canada is broke, doesn't have money anyway, so we can't buy Teslas. So there's no point of us talking about it. It's not like I see every other car out there that's a Tesla. That doesn't happen around here.
No, yeah.
Don't confuse yourself. Everything's fine.
Yeah, well,
all right. So look, we did well here on Kodak. We took a beak wetter there at 70s. Now it's up 27%. I'm setting up my next beak wetter there at 74, just to front run the size possibly at that $0.75. So we'll keep an eye here on Kodak. It feels, I'm telling you, it feels like 2020, 2021 all over again. These small caps were running. And I'm telling you, I would see like 3 or 4 different triple-digit winners every day. And it's not exactly like that anymore, Ram, but there is definitely a little bit better than there used to be. What were you saying?
that's a banger, man.
Fabian had Kodak in 2021. Yes, Fabian. Because, well, the only reason I care about that is because I remember it. Otherwise, it wouldn't really move me
I wouldn't even
all
know.
that
It's
much.
it's like BlackBerry.
It's like BlackBerry. Look, guys, in case you're a Gen Zer and don't know what Kodak is, they used to make film for cameras where you had to load the film into the camera. They still do, I know they still do, because the Gen Zers like to pretend it's 1990 again and everything's fine. So anyway, they make the film, like actual film that
Bring
you have
back
to get developed in a
BBM. Bring
dark
back
room.
BBM. Did you have BBM?
Dude,
I never had BBM.
I think it's still available on the App Store, isn't it?
I don't know.
I'm pretty
I
sure
don't
it
know.
is, but
I don't know. I didn't have it. I didn't have it
outdated.
for long, man. That's crazy. So, yeah. Anyways.
Kodak invented the digital camera and dropped the ball so hard, says Bilbo Bagholder. I didn't know they actually made the digital camera. Maybe they shouldn't have done that, because I think that's probably what sent them out of business, right? Because they were selling up a storm with their film.
Well, I
right?
remember when you would walk into Best Buy, it's just like Kodak. It was like
Everywhere,
Kodak,
right?
Kodak everywhere, right? Oh, well.
Yeah, well, that's the look there. So, guys, Tesla headline, Adara brought this to us not that long ago. California, new EV California tax credit would exclude Teslas, reports here Bloomberg. It didn't really react all that much to it. It zigged and then zagged and then got right back into the little trend that it was into before. This is the drop of the news headline there. You can see it drops down to 427.20 and then pops all the way up 351.40, and then it goes back along its merry way. It's still south of the volume weighted average price, is still negative on the day. To go green, it's going to have to work its way above that 352.60 area where we closed out on Friday. But TSLA is up a bunch ever since that November 5th election as a result of the association between Donald Trump and Elon Musk. The market predicting it's going to be a lot easier for him to get things done. Did you hear what he said? That his friend Bezos.
Mm-hmm.
So apparently he's at Mar-a-Lago. He's at Mar-a-Lago a lot, right? He's doing his thing at Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah, hanging out
and
with his buddy.
other people are coming to Mar-a-Lago too, right? With everything that's happening right now. So he was talking to some people. He didn't say who. He's like, apparently Bezos was telling everybody. This is something he tweeted. Donald Trump's going to lose for sure, and that if he loses, Musk is cooked. So sell your SpaceX if you on the private market. Sell your Tesla.
This is what Jeff was saying.
Yeah, he was telling everybody that. And so Musk obviously didn't like that. And so he tweeted about it as true to form. Right now he's got beef with Gates. He's got beef with Bezos.
Everybody.
You got to love it, right? Musk takes on all contenders. So shout out to him. It's hilarious.
Yeah, we like Elon, we like him, but man, you just don't want to be accumulating the enemies, man. Like you just don't want to be.
I wouldn't want him as my enemy.
No. You don't. Even so, like you don't want those guys like Gates and Bezos and everybody else kind of moving against you. It just makes your life that much more difficult than what it already is.
And just to be fair and to be full disclosure, Paul Goodson saying that Bezos responded and said that was a lie and that he got community noted, but it says DVD RD3, and we all know what community notes are, which is funny because some of his posts actually do have community notes on them, which is sick because he's the owner of X and he's still getting fact checked, so you gotta love that. So anyway, just wanted to put that out there. Not saying it's actually what happened. It's what Elon tweeted on X his version of what happened. Thought I'd throw that to you guys. It's a 3-hour show. We gotta cover a bunch of different things. So throwing that your way, guys. Whatever, make of that what you want. What are we doing over here, Joseph? Well, we're hanging out at 670s here on Kodak, so I'm still waiting at that $0.75 area. 674 is where I'm waiting there. We'll see if this one continues to move up. I like the trend, man. I like the trend. I like the higher highs and the higher lows. KODK, 27%. It's definitely going to stay on watch for me tomorrow because this is one of those ones that could be a day 2, day 3 runner, just given its history. So Kodak stays on the side chart. We'll keep a look on for that. Let's see, what do we got over here? Any commentary there in the chat? DJ Dekar, Jeff responded and said he didn't say that, and Elon said, I stand corrected. Thank you. I love when the chat fact checks us, right? Because I may have dated information, your information a little bit more new, and I'm going to continue to read it out, even if it contradicts what I have to say. Thank you for letting me know that. Let's look at MSTR, Rodrigo Aguilar, saying MSTR question mark. Let's have a look at what MicroStrategies is up to on the day, Ram. So obviously still very bullish, but definitely off the highs. We wicked into that 550 area. Then the Citron hit piece dropped where they said that they loved Bitcoin, but were taking a short position against MicroStrategies because they feel that MSTR and Bitcoin kind of not moving in tandem or not moving. The correlation between them is breaking down. I got to tell you, though, Michael Saylor went on CNBC the day after and defended his company's position as not just a holder and hoarder of Bitcoin, but that they're actually able to generate revenue by adding volume and liquidity. And basically, listen, I'm not going to try to, echo what he said because it's very technical, but go and Google the interview if you're interested in hearing how MicroStrategies, according to Michael Saylor, makes money other than just being a hoarder of Bitcoin. Because according to him, there are ways that they're generating revenue, and they've got interesting diversified products as well. They've got warrants that pay a dividend anyway. So he's got a whole bunch of different things at MicroStrategies that he says are generating revenue in any event. The technicals today looks like we've been defending that 400 for a hot minute. Every time we dip below 400, we seem to be met with some buying. Today, kind of a very similar day to Friday. Like the highs are the same, the lows are the same. Current price action, obviously not. But look at these highs. 453 generally was the high today and Friday. And look at the low. 382, generally the low, there were 383. So low 380s. So kind of very similar days between Friday and today on MicroStrategies. Joseph, let's have a look at the 5. Super quick to see what the technicals look like. Intraday, it looks like it's rejecting VWAP and has been since giving up the ghost at 11:20. You had an attempt at VWAP at 12:30, reject. You had another 2-candle attempt over here at 1:15 and 1:20, reject. VWAP generally at that 412 and a third on MicroStrategies. We'll talk more about that in crypto when we get back from Adara at the big desk.
We're taking a look here at the U.S. dollar with just a half an hour left until the end of the How to Trade show. Make sure if you haven't yet that you take the time to vote for your ticker of choice in the poll. We have 2 polls every midday, one starting at 11 and the second starting at 12:30 p.m. Make sure that you vote because the top 5 tickers out of the 8 between the polls are going to be featured on the rundown segment featuring Sharif, Obi, and Neil at 2 p.m. Now I'm going to talk here about the USD on the weekly chart. Here's the DXY, kind of resting as of right now here. I mean, the first day of the week, but resting on a bit around this previous resistance at that 106.9 area. We saw this coming back to November 2022. Then again for a while here throughout the entire month of October 2023. Lots of economic data on watch, though it is a shortened week, so it's worth noting it's really going to be crammed in mostly into the next 2 days, Tuesday and Wednesday. Tomorrow morning, we're going to be getting some housing data throughout the day, starting at 9 a.m. with the Case-Shiller and house price indices. Then at 10 a.m., we're going to be getting new home sales and CB consumer confidence, as well as Richmond Fed composite index. Then at 2 p.m., we're going to be getting the FOMC meetings. These meeting minutes, sorry. These could be pretty interesting. This is from the November meeting where the Fed cut, as expected, by about 25 basis points. It's worth noting as well because I mentioned this last week, but the CME FedWatch tool has been a little bit more mixed about this most recent cut. There was a consensus that there was going to be a cut at the last 2 meetings, but now we're seeing a bit more I guess, of a split opinion. Maybe we'll get a 25 basis point cut, and some traders thinking maybe we won't get any cut at all. So these minutes can be really crucial. Also, again, on Wednesday, throughout the morning, we'll be getting GDP, initial jobless claims, core durable goods, wholesale and retail inventories, and PCE data. So lots to keep an eye on with regards to what might move the U.S. dollar. As of right now, we are a little bit down so far on the day and the week. So will we end this 8-week green streak for the DXY? We'll have to wait and find out, guys. Back to you.
Thank you very much. Boot Burner has given us a bit of a lesson there in how to pronounce Elon. Guys, we're just joking when we call him Elon, right? We actually don't mean it that way. It's just funny to say, but yeah, I get it. I get it. He's South African himself. He apparently pronounces it Elon himself. All right. I'm sorry. So Elon it is.
Elon.
All right, guys. Sava has been working into this 4 3/4 for a hot minute, 485, 480. Sorry, Ram? Begin. I see. Okay. Ça va bien. Yes, okay. Yeah, only Canadians are unless anybody knows French down there, but yes, we are kind of, do you have to learn French from grade 4 to grade 9 like I did?
Yeah, I did, and then that was it. That was the last of my French. I know more Spanish than I know of French. Yeah.
I know more Chinese than I know French.
Yeah, well, I didn't
Mandarin.
know. It's not to say that I know a lot of Spanish. I just knew that little French.
I like it.
I just knew the national anthem, and that was it. Get me out of
The
here.
national anthem. I like it. Yes, we had to learn that in both languages.
Do they do that in school?
Of course. Yeah, it would come on in French sometimes.
Yeah.
All right. Shout out to Boot Burner. We're just joking, brother. Thank you for letting me know. I know you're South African. You know how to pronounce it, so we're taking your word for it. Obviously, we're just joking around.
Yeah, he's trolling you now, too, man.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all. I love the trolling,
fun,
man. It's
yeah,
just keep it clean. That's all.
Yeah.
That's all. All right, Joseph, what are you looking at on your
Yeah,
side,
buddy.
brother?
I'm here in TSLL here. I'm looking to play that bounce. We're not getting it. I'm a little bit late to the dance on this one, and that's totally fine. I'm not giving it too much risk. I'm going to get out of here at 22s. If we break 22s, then I'm going to get out of this trade. If we continue to move higher, then maybe I'll look to add at 2220s. But as of right now, we're just going to sit here and wait because we did get that large volume influx, that little bit of volatility step in. So therefore, I'm just going to try to base a thesis off that and make a play off that and see what's going. Let's see, what was that, man?
Rembrandt, man, she's stressing me out, bro.
What was that, man? Anyways.
All right, we got to pay some bills.
All right, we got to pay some bills. It's time.
All right, guys, this is your opportunity to trade smarter, not harder, by upgrading to that elite trading experience. I'm talking about eSignal. You'll be able to analyze, you'll be able to strategize, and then hopefully after that, you'll capitalize by foreseeing those profitable opportunities with the platform that you need. You get a lot of stuff. You get infinite data, you get instant trading, you get to know where the market is moving before others with that lightning fast data and execution. And some people love their charts. Some people would even say they change the game, where you can customize, analyze the markets faster and in your specific way. And we all know a sound trading plan requires good backtesting. That's what you get here. You get better backtesting. You get better scanning. You can predict the future by understanding that past. It's reliable, real-time data up to the second market information from hundreds of global market sources. It's everything you need, all in one place. So do yourself a favor and don't miss a beat. Execute your best trades now by elevating your trading experience. Go on to the bottom right of that screen, scan the QR code, or scroll down to the link or the description of this video and click the said link. Shout out to the great folks there at eSignal, Joseph.
eSignal. Yeah, I was gonna say I've been using it for like 25 years, but
hey, that's Sean. That's Sean's line. You can't take that line.
That's why I didn't say it, man. That's why I didn't say it. Paying homage to the man.
Yeah, of course. We miss him around here, man.
Exactly.
Hope he's doing well. I think he's a little under the weather today.
Well, it's that time of year, right, guys? When it comes to time in Canada, around November, late November and December, I know that I usually get sick after the New Year's for some reason.
Always.
It's like always, dude. Yeah, so get your flu shot, says Ram. But yeah, me, I like to tough it out a little bit. Sweat it out, go for a jog. Fail, why? I tough it out, I go hit the treadmill, put the hoodie on like you guys got going on and the sweatpants, and just go sweat it out. So,
Hey.
yeah, that's what we like to do. But guys, we're gonna hop out of this TSLA trade shortly because it isn't working for us. It looks like we're gonna break the bottom of this range. We only have a couple more pennies until we get stopped out. So we'll wait and see what's going on here. But I think it's only a matter of time, especially if the overall market continues to move down. I know IBIT is looking like it wants to take another leg lower, or at least test the lows. And then Tesla doing the exact same thing. And same with NVDA. NVDA had the inability to break VWAP on the session, so it's been trading below it for the majority of it. And I don't think any buyers are going to step in anytime soon. Or there might be a buy program set for 2 o'clock or post 2 o'clock. But as of right now, it just seems like everything is slightly weak and just kind of consolidating below VWAP and potentially going to test lows. So I'll just keep my eye on that. We'll have to see if we're going to continue to the sell side on IBIT, then I'm going to want to see some really aggressive selling step in on Bitcoin, but I don't think that's going to be the case, even though it can happen. And the same thing with NVDA. I think it might be more of a slow grind opposed to just a momentum play. But we're going to hold on to this, and we're going to take a look back at our Google trade that we had going on previously to see what was going on. And since it's since recovered, now went and tested VWAP. So a nice V-bottom recovery right there. No definitive signals that can say, hey, time for me to get in. But we're happy with the short that we had on it. We didn't get the full move, but we got a big bulk of it, a big meat of the move there on that one. So again, Sharif, we're just hovering below VWAP on a lot of these Meg 7s. So we'll see what we got going on for the remainder of the session.
All right, Zena's back in play, guys, or at least it seems. I got long 55s and I took out the majority position in front of 70s, actually the entire position. So now I'm looking at seeing whether or not it breaks and takes 70. If it gets away from 70, I'm gonna get back in, but I've already put a couple of dollar cost averages over here, or sorry, not DCAs because I'm not involved in it, excuse me, dip trades, 350 and 346 to account. Number one, for that $0.50 possible defend. This is the smaller of the positions at the $0.50. Then I've got a bit of a larger position at 46 to defend the area crest, but that's all predicated upon it giving up the ghost and dropping back down, but it looks like it's gonna fly, so I'm long now at, where am I long? 78, okay, there we go. Bang, here we go, come on, give me that 92 print, bro. And bang, there we go. So that's exactly why I said I want to get in if it broke and took 70. For this exact reason. Oh, come on, I took out the entire position. How many times am I going to do this? Yeah, bit of a tougher day for me today, no question about that. So we'll look to get back in. So I fat fingered there, definitely didn't mean to take out the entire position in front of 4, but this is really squeezing right now, guys. Let's keep an eye out on 4. It could defend 4 at this level. I didn't have a plan to take that 4 break. It was the 370 break that I was interested in, but now it's using 4 support. So let's watch for a little bit longer over here. Let's see if it wants to dip below 4. I'm gonna get back in over here. We're not gonna give it much in the way at all. There we go. So if it goes below 395, I'm gonna get out. I want it to hold generally that $4 area. If it drops below, I'm gone. The only reason I'm in here is because I fat finger it at 4, right? So let's see if it wants to continue. I'm long 405. Anything below that 395, I'm gone Zeno. Otherwise, I want to layer my orders possibly a little bit higher from where it's hanging out right now. So let's keep watching this one. I think my orders obviously at 350 and the like are no longer valid there, so I got to flatten out as it did dip below that $4 area. So, or 395, excuse me. So I had to get out there for a bit of a loser. We'll look to get back in on this one if it does dip into 370. So that's exactly where I'm going to hang out on this one. Let's go down into 77s to defend this area crest. So it did work its way into 70 and then broke above 4. I think it might be taking 4. Let's see. Let's watch this a little bit here. Zigging and zagging. It's got a topping tail through 4. Let me look at this one on the side chart. ZENA. Did I put this up on the side chart? I don't even think I did. Here we go. So let's give this one a look. Yeah, I think I have the exact right area over here. Well, I see it like that. If we dip into this area, I'd like that 70 defend. So I'm looking to front run the 70 penny area by hanging out at 77s. I think we just did dip into 86, dropping though below that $4 area. So we're gonna definitely have to hold this area in a strict sense. You're not gonna see me give this one a whole lot of room below 70s. If it drops anything below 60s, I'm gone there. But I don't even think it's gonna come down into the 70s. So I'm gonna get long here to see if I can get a starter position at this level. It's not even letting me in here. Wow, The buying's coming in fast and furious. It's going at 4. Here we go. ZENA is getting crazy over here. There's a lot of action on this one. Yeah, I can't even chase it at this level, Joseph. So I'll have to pack my patience. It either comes back into my level or I'm not chasing this one a second time, especially with that $4 topping tail. It's no longer a topping tail though. It's kind of straightened down. Let's see. What are you looking at, brother?
Yeah, I'm just looking over here at Google, just recovering more and more on the daily, just crawling higher. Still positive on the session, up about 1.67% on the day. Now trading above VWAP, which is kind of intrigued me. But the problem is that we were so extended below it. I don't want to really chase it up here. What I would want to see is somewhat of a pullback and then that momentum push back through the volume weighted average price. But as of right now, we're just sitting on our hands. Oh, I do need to get out of TSLL because it broke my level that I was saying that it was going to. So yeah, we're out of that one there, guys. We'll take a loss on that one, which is totally fine. Pulling back a little bit, I do think we can get a better price on it, but it does seem like that some of these mags are wanting to take another leg down. So we're just gonna have to keep that in mind. I want to see what Meta's up to. We haven't really talked about Meta and over an amount. Again, yeah, putting in a weak session. Let's take a look at Apple here quickly too. I'm just looking at them so I can say, okay, why are we moving lower? Why is the NAS moving lower? And why are all these mega caps moving higher? When everything's moving in conjunction, you just kind of want to stick with that and move with what everything else is doing, right? So you don't want to kind of fight the trends. Elon in the chat said, yeah, it's not the easiest day for longs, and you're not wrong. You have to be very precise on where you're taking these longs, especially on selling days. And when I see Google out of the opening drive, I'm like, this is really strong. I was liking it, but unfortunately I didn't take any trades on it, which is totally fine on that front. But again, Apple is really weak on the session, and same with Meta and NVDA. So that can just give you a little bit more conviction on why we're having this red day. But it did. Let me pull up the Qs chart here, and Sharif would say we had a common gap fill here, which was really really nice here on the Qs there, guys. So, and the SPY already filled it, so that's something unfortunately I didn't get to take advantage of. But again, that would be a nice little 4 or 5 point move, even a little bit more there on the Qs and the SPY. But unfortunately, from a discretionary standpoint, you can't have your eyes on everything at all the time. So that's why I was working in the back with Joe on an algorithmic trade. But unfortunately, you can't just hook up an algo to your average broker or anything like that. So that's okay. We're going to work our way around those things and just keep our eyes on the stocks that we were looking to play, gap fills. And one of those was McD's. I was looking to play a gap fill on McDonald's, but it still hasn't reached those levels. It is recovering right here. I do kind of like this isolated pivot that it's putting in. So as you can see, it kind of gapped down here, opened really low, and then now since recovered, kind of forming a V and an isolated signature candle print there as well too. No volume signature, but I do like this for a recovery. And then I'm going to look to play at the breach of the gap. I'll play on this. So once we breach the gap again, I'm going to get involved on this. So hopefully my GE position is filled by then, which I think it will be, considering if we stay with the strength and the continuous primary trend. So just keep that in mind. We'll keep an eye here on McDonald's for the foreseeable future. Hi, True Romo on Rivian Joe. Leg up. Hope your day has been going good. Yeah, thanks, Dan. I appreciate that. Let's take a look at Rivian because I know that was Neil's primary trade plan as well too, and it broke out really nice, especially from this kind of bottom consolidative area. Held the 990 levels really well, and then sat on top of the range and then just broke up. One thing I would like to see is a little bit more volume on this breakout to say, hey, maybe we're going to continue a little bit more, and then we can break some key resistance levels and some key isolated pivots from that standpoint. But other than that, I'm just going to keep my eye on McDonald's, GE, and some of the stronger tech sector stocks.
All right, man.
Yeah.
Still dealing with Zeno over here, having issues with 4. It's zigging and zagging right now with $4. It still hasn't made a new 5-minute candle to make a new low, but that's why I have my dip trade here set at 77s to account for the area crest that we had at 69. So I am looking at front running it a little bit. I did add very small share size over here, was able to wet my beak on the break of 4 or or the break of 4 into that 410 area, but very small position, looking definitely at getting this area filled, this 377 order. That would get me definitely in the trade, so to speak. I'm obviously in the trade, but with smaller size. Let's see if this one wants to work above number 1-4. That's why I'm involved in it right now, because if it's going to get away from 4, I want to have something in it. But with this order at 377, that's the money order, or the money fill, I should say, for the dip trade to front run that area crest at 69. So up 120%. I gave you guys the details on this last time. I don't have too much in the way of either a short float or float. The Trade Ideas has the float. Mine doesn't have. It says 8.23, and here we go, 410. Boom. This is exactly why I got in at that level, to account for this breakout. Despite the fact that I wanted a lot. I wanted a more size, because it does have a way of doing this, where it zigs and zags sub a level and then rockets right back up. So that's the whole reason I got 88s there. We got the best print we got there was 23s. It's printing 14s right now. This is, I still have another out or two. Let's see if this one wants to take out the $0.50 high a day right now, 38s, showing me the $0.25. We'll keep an eye out on this one, knowing probably full well we'll have resistance in all the likely areas, the whole dollar, the $0.50, etc. I still haven't done charting on the daily on this to account for where the actual technical areas of resistance are going to be, as opposed to the psychological areas of resistance. So I'm going to throw it in order mid-40s, not at 44, of course, right? So we're going to keep that bad boy there in case this one gets a liquidity grab and we rock it up into that $0.50. I'm still leaving my order at 77s active. It's still a valid order. If this comes back and tests the area crest at 69.70, I want to front run that order by having something at 77s. I don't even think it's going to come down there. Right back into the high day it goes, into 38s. Could we get a 40 break and take here? If we get a squeeze, I'll get printed in front of that $0.50 area on ZENA, now up 140%. Good look for this one, good continuation, but definitely don't have the entire size, and that kind of, puts a bit of a damper on the entire trade, but we'll look at executing a little bit better. And there it is. Here comes my mid-40 prints. I saw 44s showing me 40s now as selling takes place in front of that $0.50. I'm really unsurprised by that. I could flatten out here for, basically the same trade. That's exactly what I'm going to do. Or am I, Joseph? There it is.
Dang.
Nice. Okay, so good trade so far right now on ZENA, but that flatten order it takes me out of my dip trade. So I'm going back right there. What are you doing, bro? 377. There we go. Now, good. So I'm accounting for that area trough or area crest that I'd like to defend. So if it does come back down there, I've got this resting order on ZENA at that level. We've got 9 minutes. So let's have a look at how the poll is doing. You guys have been absolutely killing it. We got over, I believe, 1,500 votes on the first poll. Let's see how we're doing on the second. 755. Like, I know NVIDIA was in on this one, so, a lot of people may not have been as excited, but you guys can do a lot better than 756, 755. You got some good hitters on there. You got iBit. I know everybody's pumped about crypto. I'm pumped about crypto too. You got SMCI, the very volatile name. It's got half the votes right now. QMCO. I know a lot of people, they don't like the small cap gappers. I get it, right? They don't love. They don't.
I was gonna say, man. I was gonna be honest. I'm like, man, what is QMCO?
I'm sorry.
Come on.
I gotta throw one small cap gapper out there.
What is ZENA then?
Yeah, I know. I got a little. Maybe I got a little overzealous with that today.
I'm like, come on.
ZENA, come on. You guys got ZENA, ZENA, whatever. I just had a good trade on that for you guys. Throw up your what's it called? Your vote right now. See which one you'll make it on. Maybe only SMCI makes it on from this one. Maybe SMCI and iBit weasel their way on. Shout out to Jay Lee. Why not short some tops on ZENA? Jay, you and I, we've talked about this before, brother. I don't like shorting any of the small cap gappers north of the volume weighted average price in the same way that I won't take them long south of the volume weighted average price. So you know my rules for these small cap gappers: definable pre-market high, trading above the pre-market high, and trading above VWAP. Really that simple. So use the opposite for the shorts. It's got to be below the pre-market low, below VWAP, And obviously, it has to have a definable pre-market low. So I'm definitely not going to be shorting the tops. It's just not my style, Jay. You could probably kill it on that. Everybody's a little bit different, but my rules, when I deviate from them, they get me in a lot of trouble. So I'm going to stick with them, Jay. But thank you for the suggestion there. Shout out to Jay Lee, one of the OGs in the chat, my man.
Jay Lee, yeah, the Corleone family. I'm sorry, but that is the old way to vote for Tesla. Was it on the polls today?
The Corleone family, yes.
It's the old
and he
way.
still
There's
forgot
new
he forgot he misplaced the dollar sign. He didn't put the exclamation point. He stuck the words together. He did everything wrong there.
It was a tough go. It was a tough go. The Corleone family, but we'll get it next time.
Yes,
it's a lot more simplistic now. So there you go. Just stick to that. Sorry, I find that a little funny because we all butchered things, and that was nothing short.
I got a question
butchered.
for you here because I know you have a Beamer, right?
I do.
Okay, so here we go. D-Loaf, Sharif, I need some advice, my guy.
My guy.
BMW 430 used, Tesla M3 refresh new 10K. What? Hold on, I don't understand. BMW 430 used, Tesla M3 refresh new 10K or SMC.
Model 3, I think he means, no?
Fresh or SMCI long swings for years to come. Oh, it's either buying a car. Okay, all right.
SMCI is
all
what you're
same
getting
price about LOL. Currently 2006 BMW 525, still working all right. Shout out to you, D-Loaf. Look, man, I'm going to have to go and say stocks. Stocks over cars. Well, Ram says car. I don't agree with that. If I weapon to my head, I choose investment over cars. That's because I'm at the ripe old age of 42. Maybe you choose something a little bit different. Say that again, Ram. Enjoy the car, sell the car, put it into investment. After they've realized the loss, Ram, because these cars depreciate super quick, right?
Why would
so
we
you're going to lose a little bit off that.
We don't want to buy a depreciating asset when we can buy something that appreciates.
Well, look.
Okay, all right.
Say that again, Ope. You got to buy the Nissan Skyline R32, bring it in from Japan, right? Right-hand drive. And keep it on you. Drive it 100 clicks a year, says the old one can know.
100
clicks. That would work. I personally won't do that.
No.
What's your choice, Joseph? Are you going M3, Tesla Model Y, or Model 3, or are you going investment?
I'm going investment.
It's not even a question.
Because then if the investment does well, then you can just buy the car later, still potentially hold some of that investment, and then continue to be on your merry way. So it's really a win-win opposed to buying the depreciating asset and then not being able to buy nearly as much stock in a couple of years. And then next thing you know, you're scratching your head and like, why did I buy this car? And SMCR, whatever stock that you are buying, is now gone to the moon, as some people like to refer.
Look, man, sound advice, you put that money away and you have a tougher time now for better times later. Easier said than done, right? Easier said than done, because everybody wants to stunt. Everybody wants to flex. Everybody wants to look like they got it. I get that, right? But at the end of the day, you're going to have to choose whether you look like you've got it or you've actually got it. And the only way to actually get it is by putting the actual money in the investment. I know it's nothing you don't know. Maybe you're just...
So Bears vs. Bulls, Armand says, Beamer's buyer remorse. No, I actually took care of my car. I didn't have car payment or anything like that. So again, I was in a situation where we were able to do that. So you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, look, and the chat's giving them a lot of love too. Everybody's telling them exactly what the look is there.
Yeah.
Here comes a different angle though. Brendan, my 81 Corvette doesn't depreciate and I can wear the motor out, put another in and roll it again. Yeah, everybody's a little different story there. You're talking about a historical car. Your boy, Greg, buy a Tesla. At least it's a potential income stream once FSD is sort of my man speaking sense. Speaking sense, Greg, absolutely. Because you could change it from one side of the balance sheet being a liability, like 99% of these cars are, into an income generating asset, right? But you're gonna have to hold on for a hot minute maybe until we get FSD approval, but who knows?
Yep.
Who knows?
Sorry to interrupt you, but my good buddy Dan in the chat, Dan F is in the chat, and he showed me his Tesla trade on the morning. So Dan, congratulations to you. good trade on Tesla, my buddy out there in Detroit. So yeah.
I like the comments coming in here from my man Richard W. I don't stunt, I regulate. That's it, bro. That is really it, man. If you can actually do that. But in any event, we have Adara at the big desk. She's got something for us.
Just keep an eye on MSOS here. We got a nice little volume pump in this most recent 15-minute candle. We're over 1 million shares traded in this one candle as of right now. As you can see, a bit of a topping tail candle. No news, but it's worth noting this move came around as I saw Benzinga recirculating this post on Twitter by a man named Tom Angel that was made about 35 minutes ago. Tom Angel is the author of Marijuana Moment, which I guess is a online newsletter specifically focused on cannabis and cannabis legalization. Basically, he's posting here about the some updates on the rescheduling of cannabis, saying that the DEA says it's in the process of preparing public access to the cannabis rescheduling proceedings docket. So I guess maybe we'll have more updates on that soon. Either way, MSOS popping to the upside with volume, guys.
It's whatever you want it to be, Ram Ram. You dictate. You want happening now? We'll give you happening now, Ram Ram. It's whatever you want.
Whatever.
Shout out to Elon in the chat. Baba acting up again after hitting the 200 DMA support. Good luck. Let's have a look at Baba as we've got 1 minute left here on the show. Before I look at Baba, guys, UAVS. Shout out to Pretty Dang Panda. You called it pretty, and it's continuing to go. It took 5. This one's moving, guys. UAVS up 49%. But let's have a look at Baba super quick there. 4. Oh, this is breaking out as well. Okay, Alibaba having a decent day. Let's now look at the daily. Yeah. So before we get too excited, let's have a look. That Baba is right back into that, $80, $90. We'll see if it's $70 range. But yeah, look, bro, I'm gonna stay away from these Chinese ADRs until things are different, because right now that political headwind too much for me. Joseph, it's 2 o'clock. Any final thoughts before we send it to the big kahunas?
Yeah, no final thoughts, guys. It's been a red day
Same.
on the overall, so, okay, one.
Yeah, well, you're green, I'm red.
Yeah. But anyways, on the overall market. But hey, guys, just keep in mind, it's been a little bit tougher one for the longs. Just keep those stops in place, because tomorrow is going to be a new one, and anything can happen.
All right, guys, same bad time, same bad channel. Take it over, big kahunas.
Anything can happen. I love that line. There was a good Key and Peele sketch.
Anything?
Literally anything can happen, kids. You can, if you believe it, you can do it. You can fly. You can literally fly. You heard that skit? Dude,
I think so, yeah.
Well, the market can't fly today, unfortunately. So you got to